It is a beautiful sunny afternoon in southern Quebec. Weather is not a factor. The noise is. Hang on, we're indoors with 60,000 for the Argonauts and the Alouettes. It's the CFL on CBC.
We're coming for you, Montreal. You're next, so if you're watching, we're coming.
The Toronto Argonauts haven't beaten Montreal in a playoff game since 1997. They lost here last year by a score of 35-18. If they hope to win today, they'll not only have to beat the Alouettes, but they'll have to deal with this huge crowd and the noise in Olympic Stadium. Don Matthews trying to win the Grey Cup back-to-back years with Sean Millington, Greg Frères, and Danny McManus. Good afternoon from Montreal. I'm Brian Williams. The CFL and CBC continues. Coming up later today, 7 Eastern, 5 Mountain, of course. It's that Western final. We've talked about Saskatchewan, Edmonton. The panel will be back with highlights and analysis of this game at the half. But right now, let's head up to the booth. The fellas that will call the game here this afternoon. Once again, Mark Lee and Darren Flutie. Mark?
Thank you, Brian. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, the Alouettes are cocky. They're confident. A headline in the Montreal Gazette read this week, "Death, taxes, and an Al's win are the only things that are certain." What do you make of the Alouettes' strident stance here today?
I mean, Jermaine Copeland came out and said, hey, listen, this could get ugly. We might just destroy this football team today. This type of outwardly cocky arrogance coming from the Alouettes is certainly going to be a motivating factor for the Argonauts. Because I'll tell you what, the Argonauts feel that they can beat this football team.
The Argonauts, let's make no mistake, Don Matthews has all the talent. He has built this team over the past 2 years. The Argos are the decided underdogs. Pinball Clemens, I thought he had a bit of a chip on his shoulder yesterday when he said, you know, to win a cup, you got to have gray hair. You got to win the cup to get respect. And he said, a lot of people think of me as that nice little guy with the big smile and the cute nickname. What do you think?
Well, Michael Clemens deserves the respect for what he's done this year. They went 9-9, all that turmoil, the ownership leaving them, the league taking over the team. But he understands, as a head coach in this league, if you don't win the Grey Cup, you don't get that ultimate respect. And that's what he's going after today, a trip to the Grey Cup.
And talk about leaders. This year, Eric England, in his first season with the Argos, leading the league with 14 sacks, he's emerged as a big leader in the clubhouse.
Yeah, again, he's one of these quiet guys you see from the Argos. He says, yes, Alouettes, they're the great football team. We're the pumpkins. We're the nobodies, you know. But he's had a great year, and he had 3 sacks last week in the game against the BC Lions. He's going to make a difference today.
All right, it's time for the tale of the tape, your Canadian Tire game notes.
All right, I'm ready for it this week. And here we go. Offensively for the Argos, jab with Jenkins. Just quick hitters with Jenkins. He had a big game last week. Hopefully he can repeat that this week. Defensively for the Argos, do the rope-a-dope. Hang in there, hang tough. Don't let the big play beat you. Maybe you got a chance. Flip to the other side. Alouettes offensively, hey, go with what got you here. Throw the haymaker. Cavillo to Copeland to Cahoon. And defensively, go for the knockout, TKO, blitz that free safety, blitz the halfbacks, get pressure on the quarterback, and make a difference defensively.
Game notes, brought to you by Canadian Tire. Let's get started.
We're moments to kick off in Montreal as we join Brenda on the sidelines.
Well, how loud is it here at Olympic Stadium just before kickoff? Well, right now it's reading our sound meter around 90 decibels, but it's been peaking as high as 120, and that is the sound of a jet engine. Contributing to some of the noise problem have been these thunder sticks, I think Brian called them earlier. 120,000 of them have been handed out. But today, Mark, listen to the difference in the noise level between when the Argos offense is on the field and when Montreal's offense is out there.
The Alouettes have been massing for this battle all season. Don Matthews' football team clinching first place in the East in September. They're faster, stronger, a higher scoring offense than ever in the passing game. The Pinball looking composed and relaxed. Through a season of turmoil, he's been the calm in the storm. The man who has led this team to its second straight East Division final, the decided underdogs. The Alouettes 8-2 at home, and we're underway in the East Division final. Bashar Livingston, the huge run return threat, has the ball, gets down the sidelines, and Mark Megna makes the tackle. The Alouettes stringing out that first return, limiting the game to 11 as Damon Allen makes his way, the 19-year veteran. It's been a tough year for the 40-year-old captain of this team and a grandfather this year, battling injuries and inconsistent play. But you know what? He led an 8-10 BC Lion team to victory in the 2000 Grey Cup over the Montreal Alouettes, so don't count him out.
Argos are already a little bit confused. I don't know if it's the crowd noise already, but they're confused offensively with which team should be in. 2 tights, 4 wides, 5 receivers. They don't have the right package in right now, and they're a little confused.
There's also apparently a problem with the clock. It's not working, and it looks like they've got it set now. The Argos will have to fight this crowd. Michael Clements saying we've got to take the crowd out early like they did 1 year ago when they started fast with Reggie Slack. But 60,000 fans with those noisemakers will make it awfully difficult on Damon Allen. We talked about the silent count and the fact that they may have to go to the pure silent count if the line, especially center Chad Folk, can't hear his quarterback.
Well, that's certainly going to be a factor today, but always in a playoff game, players are so wound up for a playoff game, so excited. The first few plays in the first series is very important to the athlete because you get your first hit and you get into the football game. So we see how quickly which team can get into the game and be aggressive and relax and play their own football game as soon as possible.
The Argonauts coming into this game on a 3-game winning streak. It began with a 45-13 win over Montreal at home. And look at the joking and talking on the field already. The Owls look loose. The Argos get set for their first play on offense with twin tight ends. They'll go to the ground game, and Michael Jenkins is swarmed, gang tackled at the line of scrimmage.
Offensively for the Argonauts, I think you got to look at Jenkins to have another big game today. He had over 100 yards last week against the Lions. From the receiving core, Mitchell's back in the lineup. Can Mitchell make a difference out here today? Let's find out. Offensively, Chad Folk, Jude St. John anchored this great offensive line that moved the ball so well last week.
Argos go to a 6-receiver set, 2nd and 9. Allen to throw, it's complete to Tony Miles. He breaks the first tackle, and Kevin Johnson still on his feet, and he'll have a Toronto first down. The Argos leading receiver this year with 1,005 yards through the air, coming in the trade from Hamilton.
Well, what a contrast. You come out your first play, you're in 2 tight ends, and you run the ball with Jenkins. Come out your next play, you spread it out with 6 receivers, you soften the defense up, Tony Miles sits in a hole and picks up a big first down.
Lyle Knight, who missed a practice this week with back problems with a big block there for the speedy Tony Miles. 4.3 speed, and one of the best route runners on the team. A pitch out right side. Jenkins sliding, tries to make up some more room on his own, and he'll crash his way for a couple of yards to the 40-yard line. So the Alouettes getting to the ball quickly there as we check their starting defense.
Defensively for the Alouettes, Filion, the big defensive player. They look for him to make a lot of plays. At linebacker, Strickland, he's the tweener, defensive back linebacker. Sometimes he comes on the blitz, look for him. And a secondary, William Loftus, I'll say, is the toughest hitter from that free safety position in the league.
It's the #1 defense against the pass this year in the CFL. 6-receiver set, here comes the blitz. The ball's away and incomplete, and there's a flag on the play. And it looked like an infraction on Tony Miles. Dwayne Butler was the defender on Miles. We'll wait for the call from referee Dave Ewell, who is officiating this afternoon.
Pass interference. Montreal number 25. First down.
Dwayne Butler, who was released by the Tiger Cats the last day of training camp, finding home here in Montreal.
Well, both those guys, Tony Miles and Dwayne Butler, played together for the Ticats last year. So they've done this in practice 1,000 times. Butler's known for being aggressive and hanging on. And I think right here he hangs on to Tony, keeps him from getting into the middle, and the penalty was called.
Argos first down, 5 receiver set, play action. And the pass out of the backfield to Daryl Mitchell. Incomplete and too far. Mitchell making his way back into the lineup after missing the semifinal with a hamstring injury.
Well, it's a good play call. You're trying to get Mitchell involved. He's missed a game due to injury. Give him a nice easy pass, just Damon overthrew him a little bit. But really, you want Mitchell to touch the ball early so he can become a factor in this football game.
Argos trying to duplicate the scene from 1 year ago when they drove downfield and took the crowd out of this building. And Slack was at quarterback. 2nd and 10. 6 receiver. Allen calls a quarterback draw, but he won't get the first down. The Alouettes are so fast on defense.
No, that's not a bad first drive for the Argos. They don't pick up the first down right at midfield, but they got the ball at midfield. They started all the way inside their 25. So in field position, at least they've moved the ball out to midfield, and maybe they can pin the Alouettes deep and let their defense take over.
35, 36.
Noel Prefontaine to punt, the league-leading 46.9-yard average during the regular season. One of 5 unanimous picks to the East All-Star team. And he hits a rocket, angling this one away from Stokes. He'll have it over his shoulder at his own 5. Keith Stokes runs into traffic, reverses his field. The Argos push him back to the goal line. Stokes still on his feet, now breaking tackles. Oh, how elusive is that? From his goal line back to the 15. An 8-yard return, but he must have run 30 to get there. Stokes, who's taken 2 missed field goals back for touchdowns this year, and a thrilling first effort here today.
Yeah, as a punter in the punting team, this is where you want the ball to be punted, between the numbers and the boundary. And we can see where he catches the ball right in here. That's where you want the ball to be punted. That takes away a whole half of the field, and then you have great coverage. It was a great individual effort by Stokes just to squeeze out 10 yards on the return. But if you can put the ball in that situation every time, that's ideal for the punt team.
First down for Anthony Calvillo and this vaunted Alouette passing team, and they're going deep early to Copeland. Incomplete, but there's a flag. Clifford Ivory was draped all over the league's leading receiver.
Well, I guess the Alouettes are going to come out throwing the haymaker. Calvillo wastes no time, sets up, good protection, throws to his favorite receiver, Copeland, and he has his man beat. Ivory never looks back for the football, so that may be something the ref's looking at. Hey, he's not looking back, he's not trying to play the football, he's just covering the face of Copeland. And that's a big penalty because they don't mark off 10 or 15 yards, they give them the ball at the spot of the foul.
That's 44 yards. On the pass interference to Ivory. First down Montreal across midfield. Out of the backfield, Eric Lapointe in a huge gaping hole at full steam. He barrels his way into the Toronto secondary for a Montreal first down. The Montreal starting offense.
Well, Lapointe, who just made that catch, I think can play a big factor in today's football game because he's healthy. The receiving core, Copeland and Cahoon, over 3,300 yards combined. That's the go-to guys. The offensive line, all Eastern All-Stars except for Dave Lambert, who I happen to think is the best offensive line of the whole unit.
The Alouettes have been criticized for no run game this year. But Don Matthews says those little passes out of the backfield are just like long handoffs. They'll stay on the ground to Lapointe, right side, turning upfield outside the tackle. And he'll have a gain of 3 on the play. An injury-plagued year, a broken ankle, a broken hand for Lapointe as we check the Argo defense.
Yeah, defensively, Wayne Weathers, obviously the big guy, had the 14 sacks during the season, and England had the big game last week. O'Shea at linebacker, I think he's the heart and soul of the defense. He had 90 regular season tackles. The secondary, the captain of the secondary is Steinhauer. He makes all the calls. He's got to be careful not to creep up too too tight to the line of scrimmage, and that deep ball beat him.
2nd and 7 for the Alouettes. Calvillo to the air again. It's incomplete, intended for Ben Cahoon. And Kevin Ivan, good coverage for the linebacker dropping off there.
He's just one of the many things that Kevin Ivan can do. He's great on special teams covering. He can come with that blitz, and yet he can cover one of the best receivers in the league, man-to-man, and break up a play that could have given him the first down.
Kevin Ivan, who led the CFL in special teams tackles with 33. He has one already today, and he's rising up here on defense. First field goal attempt of the day from the 38, Matt Kellett. The ball will be spotted on the right hash mark. Kellett hits it high. It's good. The Alouettes are on the board first. It's 3-0 Montreal. Welcome back to Olympic Stadium in Montreal. The Alouettes on their first offensive series. A 38-yard field goal by Matt Kellett. A reminder coming up right after the West Division Final. It's Neil on Green and the rampaging Saskatchewan Roughriders in Edmonton to face Ricky Ray and the Eskimos in the Western Division Final at 4 Eastern. The ball is up, and it's Tony Miles with it for Toronto. Miles straight up the middle, and on first contact, Kevin Johnson makes the tackle. Miles returned one for a touchdown against Montreal 3 weeks ago. But not today.
Matthews said yesterday, we're not going to kick away from anyone. You've seen that on the first 2 kickoffs. He kicked Livingston the first time, Miles right in the middle of the field, which is usually a mistake. You like to pin them to the corner, but their coverage teams are playing well. Anytime you pin them inside the 35, you've done a good job as a kickoff coverage team.
Damon Allen's numbers in the playoffs. He has 27 touchdown passes, number 2 in the CFL, as the Argos go to a twin tight offense again. Handing off to Jenkins. Jenkins trying to negotiate that defense, and he's hit hard. Big Ed Philly on first to make contact, and his Argo running back, who's averaged 96 yards a game in his last 3 games, is finding it tough going here today early.
Yeah, the 2 tight end set is having trouble early, and Matthews said, listen, that plays right into our hands. We're going to stack our guys up there and stop the run. But what you could see happen is the Argos are getting man-to-man coverage with their speed guys outside. They may go to a passing game out of that set eventually.
Don Matthews said yesterday he welcomes a twin tight passing game because it reduces the number of receivers they have to cover. Deep down the sideline to Lau Knight, reaching. He's got it! What a catch! Lau Knight battling Omar Evans, and what an athletic play.
Was so impressed with Lau Knight last week. Not that he made every play that came to him, but he got himself open. He made the big plays when they counted. Damon Allen took a heck of a hit there, but watch him fight for the football. Hey, it's up in the air. That's your football. These are the big plays that Lau Knight, Tony Miles, and Daryl Mitchell have to make today for Damon Allen.
Lau Knight, the sophomore out of UCLA, with a big touchdown catch last week in the Eastern semifinal, and a huge bomb catch there. Now Jenkins with some daylight. He puts his head down, and Baron Miles makes the tackle, very close to a Toronto first down. Jenkins, who's battling the effects of arthritis and an injured ankle, will need off-season surgery, but he's running today.
He looked very strong last week, and again, he's running the ball very well today, though he hasn't really gained a lot of yards. That's a great play on first down, leaves him with a 2nd and 2.
They mentioned nearly 300 yards in the last 3 games, and a big one last week. On the ground again, Jenkins runs into traffic right at the line of scrimmage, and he's driven back. Second and short, and I think they lost some.
Yeah, you get the feeling that Montreal wants to make a statement early defensively that you're not going to run the football against us. You did it well last week against the BC Lions, but we're the Montreal Alouettes. We're the class of the East. You can't run the football against us. So they're trying to tell the Argos, hey, you got to throw the football.
And so that will force the Argos into a field goal situation. Noel Prefontaine, good on 72% of his field goals this year, will attempt this one from the 35. The southpaw kicker is wide left. Out of the end zone, Stokes to the goal line, and the Argos will have him deep. It looked like there was trouble with the hold as Prefontaine misses from the 35. Kevin Ivan upset with himself after a bobbled hold cost the Argos perhaps a field goal.
Yeah, maybe we found one thing that Kevin Ivan may not be able to do that well. He's trying to get the ball on the pin. Little trouble there causes the missed kick. But on the other end, Stokes deciding to bring the ball out of the end zone is another point, because now they have very bad field position on their 1 yard line.
Twice Stokes has run it 115 yards on missed field goal returns. The pass intended for Jermaine Copeland, incomplete. The Alouettes in terrible field position to start this drive.
Yeah, you see Stokes return here. Now he could give up the single, but he knows he has those big bodies out there, and he's always thinking touchdown. That's a great play by Mike Montreal right there, just to slow him down. And then all the rest of the speed, you even see the kicker get involved, Prefontaine, who we saw make a tackle last week.
You're saying so many offensive linemen on the cover team, it makes it easier for a speedster to get away.
Yeah, they're thinking touchdown on those missed field goal opportunities.
So it's 2nd down and 10 for Montreal. In his own end zone, Calvillo with lots of time in the pocket, throwing deep down the far sidelines. Incomplete, intended for Pat Woodcock, and he couldn't catch up. So now the Alouettes will have to punt from their end zone. Woodcock coming back after being a late season cut from the NFL Redskins.
Well, look at that, how much time Anthony Calvillo has, though, and they're bringing 5 people on the rush. He has a lot of time, double pumps. Finally has the stride with Woodcock on his defender, just out of his reach for a big play. I mean, you keep letting these guys get deep. Eventually going to make these plays for big plays.
Will Matt Kellett give up a safety touch here? Will he punt? 41.5 yard average, standing 13 yards deep, and he will concede the 2 points. So the Argos get 2 of 3 missed on the field goal. And Pat Woodcock, the hero, the top Canadian in last year's Grey Cup. Speedy receiver indeed, but couldn't quite make the catch on the bomb.
I think this is the way the Argos wanted the first quarter to go. Just kind of hang in there. I think I said rope-a-dope in those game notes.
You did.
Just kind of hang in there. Have it be a close football game where eventually down the line in the second half, third or fourth quarter, your special teams or your defense can step up and make a play that decides the game.
Well, it's still awfully early as Damon Allen gets set to go back on offense, and we talked to him about how a quarterback copes with the incredible noise in this building.
It can be a factor, especially if they're up. I mean, I'm pretty sure it can be just awful. But we practiced real hard this week, and we should be well versed. And the main thing is we have to keep your poise in those situations.
And Darren, the toughest part for the silent count is when the quarterback's in the shotgun and he's far away from his center.
For sure, no one can hear the signals being called. And also, as you touched on earlier, when you're in a no huddle or a hurry up offense and you got to get those plays to the receivers, it's tough to hear the calls.
Bashar Livingston at his own 12-yard line. Heads for the far sideline, nowhere to go, and he's stacked up. So once again, this time Mike Botterill, the leading special teams tackler for Montreal, and the number 2 special teams defender in the league, limits the return to 21. Damon Allen getting set to go back on offense versus Montreal this year. He completed half his passes, 16 of 30 for 143 yards and a touchdown. That was earlier in August. He got pulled early in the last game that Marcus Brady won for Toronto. Been a tough year for the 40-year-old veteran. The Alouettes stack up their defense with the heavy team. In the shotgun, Toronto will pass, wide open. Daryl Mitchell, first down yardage and more with a straight arm to midfield. Daryl Mitchell, who had trouble with his push, his speed a week ago because of a hamstring injury. Looked good there.
Well, this is a classic example of going too tight, having them lock up, the Alouettes lock up in man-to-man coverage, and run a nice, simple out route to one of your best receivers. He's got 10, 12 yards cushion from Durden. It's an easy completion and a big play, and now they're in Montreal territory.
Big gain, 23 yards to center field for Toronto with a shotgun again. Lots of time. Allen throwing deep down the far sideline. It's complete to Alfred Jackson. No, he's out of bounds. He stepped out of bounds.
Well, Damon decided to go for the whole thing to Jackson up the sideline, but again, he had Daryl Mitchell in that same outplay at about 6 to 8 yards with a huge cushion from the defensive back. He would have picked up another 15 yards or so.
Right there, looking at the ball, he found his way out of bounds when he made the catch.
They give credit to these Argo receivers. They're going after the ball. When that ball's in the air, they're going after it, trying to make plays for their team.
Fans using their clappers now to try to drown out the Argos. Lots of time. Allen now will have to sidestep a rush. He's got the ball away. It's complete to Daryl Mitchell. Now they're waving it off. Mitchell thought he had it.
Again, Damon has lots of time to throw the football. He avoids rush there, steps up. No one's getting open for him. He makes a tough pass against his body. Hey, these guys are trying to take some shots at Damon, no question about that.
Major foul.
Every chance they get.
Roughing the quarterback. Montreal, number 75.
Caught it.
First down.
Ed Fillion knocked Reggie Slack out of the East Division Final 1 year ago. There he went low for the legs. That's another new rule to help protect quarterbacks. Quarterback killer, Ed Fillion.
That's a dangerous situation because most of the time the quarterback is stepping into his throw. And if he gets a low shot from a helmet into his knee, he calls serious injury.
So the Argos stay alive on offense. First down at the 40 of Montreal. On the ground, Michael Jenkins twisting and turning into the heart of that Montreal defense. And the gain will be about 3 or 4 yards on the play. You said off the top that Jenkins would be the catalyst to this Toronto offense.
Yeah, I think you got to keep giving him the football. He didn't have success real early in this too tight formation, but they're sticking with it. And they're using a lot of variety with 6-pack receivers, 5-pack receivers, and then bringing in the 2 tights and running the football. Sticking to their game plan, which is smart.
Well, the twin tight formation allows the quarterback more protection. It makes the rush lanes off the edge wider. Against a defense that led the league in quarterback sacks. Here comes the blitz. Allen throwing deep. It's too far. Intended for Alfred Jackson. And so the Argos will have to punt, and once again, Damon Allen is slow to get off the field and appears to be favoring his right hand now. He suffered a deep bruise on that right hand earlier this season, which really affected his passing.
Yeah, you'd hate to see him re-injure that in such a big football game, but here the Alouettes are just bringing it, and again, he's drilled to the turf. And he made a nice throw, got it up on time. It's just the receiver wasn't in the right spot.
So Pinball will call for another field goal attempt. This one from the 43-yard line. Right down the middle. Prefontaine hits it hard. It's good. So the Argos take the lead, but there's concern on their bench.
He's going to the locker room.
Damon Allen pacing on the Argo bench. He has an injured passing hand. We're not sure how severe it is. He hurt it earlier this year. He also injured the entire left side of his body when he was crashed into a TD cart against BC. He suffered a rotator cuff strain on his left shoulder, and he had a head injury last week. Now Marcus Brady is quickly getting warmed up, getting set to go to work on the sidelines. And this is deja vu all over again. Last year it was Reggie Slack knocked out early and Brady forced into play. We'll see what happens.
You're taking my Yogi Berra quote there. But
let's go back and revisit the scene 1 year ago. Slack getting a shot, a leg whip-like shot from Stéphane Fortin, and then the huge hit from Ed Fillion that finally put him out with a head injury. And they were forced to go with Brady and Ballard. It's Deontay Whitaker on the return from Montreal, straight up the hash marks. And it'll be a short return of 20 on the play. And again on the Argo bench, they continue to address Damon Allen's injured hand.
If there is a positive spin off this, and obviously you don't want to lose your starting quarterback, but it is the fact that Brady came in for Allen the last time they played Montreal, and he had success. So he has that confidence. So if he does have to step into this football game, he's going to step into it with some confidence, and that would be a positive for the Argo offense.
Huge confidence. He came off the bench 3 weeks ago to lead the Argos to victory, throwing a couple of touchdown passes. And his last appearance last week in relief, he was 3 for 3 and a touchdown pass. Calvillo, play action, rolling right, throwing to the sideline. It's complete to Copeland at the first down marker. Clifford Ivory again, the Argo DB, trying to keep up with the number 1 receiver.
If we're going to see a lot of man-to-man coverage, oh, here's the entry on Damon again. He has to get rid of the ball early because he comes untouched through the line. But it's hard to see what happened to his hand there because I think the entry's on his hand again.
Either he hit the defender as he was throwing or he landed on it. It looked like he got stuck underneath him. Here's Deontay Whitaker. And he goes nowhere as Eric England puts him in the grasp right at the line of scrimmage. The gain will be about a yard.
Well, I love all those moves, you know, he jumps around a lot, but you got to get north and south and get some yards.
And that's the backup, the import backup strength we talked about off the top of the broadcast. Whitaker shuttling in behind the Canadian, Eric Lapointe at running back. The two of them combining for about 900 yards rushing this year in a run-by-committee type offense here in Montreal. 2nd and 9. Calvillo across the middle, and Copeland can't hang on. Kevin Iben was headhunting. Oh, Kevin Iben was a missile across the middle.
Boy, is he an impact player in these football games. He's always showing up around the football. Copeland thinking he has a nice catch, beats Ivory, boom, here comes the missile. Almost takes off his head. Don't think Copeland won't be thinking about that the next time he comes across the middle, too.
Kevin Iben, the third-year man out of Bucknell, with a solid hit there, and you know Copeland will be thinking about footsteps the next time he treads across that zone. Punt situation for Montreal. Kellen angling. No, he'll put it straight down now, the hash mark, and it's Livingston at his own 20, runs into traffic, still on his feet. Finally, they blow the play dead. 48-yard punt, just a 6-yard return. Damon Allen will try to work with the football to see if he's got any grip strength in that injured passing hand.
I think you have to touch on the fact that Matthews is not kicking away from Livingston.
There's another look at some of the shots he's taken today. They went low. Twice they went low. That one was called on Filion. And then he's bear-hugged and driven by Tito Simpson to the turf, and that was where he inflicted the injury. And so now he'll stay on the sidelines. And Marcus Brady comes in at quarterback for Toronto. Double tight formation. Brady, quick drop. It's complete to Daryl Mitchell. And Wayne Shaw is right there to wrap him up. Marcus Brady, who came in 1 year ago as the third stringer, he didn't have any reps in practice. This time he's a lot more prepared.
He was impressive last week. I'll tell you what, Argo's got an awful spot on that. He caught the football around the 30-yard line and then was dragged back to the 27, and they ultimately spotted at the 27. They lost 3 yards on the spot.
Damon Allen continuing to throw with some difficulty on the Argo sideline. The backup is in, Brady, in a tough 2nd and 8 situation. Rolling left, buying time. He's got time, throwing, it's complete. Daryl Mitchell, and a huge first down. Tim Strickland, one of the speedy cover men for Montreal, making the tackle.
Yeah, the Argos, they know their backup quarterback is in. They expect Montreal to blitz him, so they move the pocket to buy him some time. Mitchell stepping up early, making plays for the Argos.
The Argos move the sticks as the first quarter ends in Montreal. The offense is mired in the early going. Welcome back to Olympic Stadium in Montreal. A kicking game, 2-point safety for the Argos, and it's a 2-point lead as we get set to start the second quarter of play. An estimated crowd of 60,000 in attendance as we check first quarter stats.
Net yards, the Argos blowing away the Alouettes 3-1. They got 96 to the Alouettes 32. Now the Alouettes are the team we expect all the offense from. So maybe eventually we'll see it, maybe we won't. Maybe this Argo defense has found something out about that Alouette offense that can shut them down.
Well, for all his greatness during the regular season, Anthony Calvillo's had trouble in the playoffs, and so far he's been slow to start. Right now, it's Marcus Brady's team to lead in Toronto as he backs up the injured Damon Allen. Michael Jenkins into a heap. And there's some pushing and shoving after the play. Adriano Belli was the man on the turf. Marvin Thomas disagreed with something. Let's go down to the sidelines. Here's Brenda.
Well, Mark, of course, the Argos medical staff is remaining quite tight-lipped about the injury to Damon Allen's throwing hand, but what I did see, it was bleeding. There were several small cuts on his hand. He is on the sidelines tossing the ball around. They say they're not sure whether he'll be back or not.
It's the same spot that he injured earlier in the season. Brady with all kinds of time. Outlet pass to Mitchell, looking for the first down, and they've got him at the line of scrimmage. Good secondary coverage by Montreal as Brady had all kinds of time but couldn't find anything deep.
Yeah, he had the time. The coverage was good. He didn't force something in there just in case he throws an interception. Don't want to make a mistake like that in a tight ball game when they're winning 5-3. So he tries a short completion, completes it, you punt it away. Again, field position. Keep the field position advantage.
Prefontaine getting set to punt. Hits this one low and angling to the far sidelines and out of bounds. The ball will be spotted at the Montreal 30. No return as Damon continues to get attention. Anthony Calvillo said yesterday, November games haven't been my best, but we still have quite a few victories. If I don't play up to par, the games will be close, but if I play to my potential, we'll score a lot of points and blow people out. Here's the comparison between his stats from this season and his post-season numbers.
Look at that QB rating with the regular season and postseason, 98.5 to 65%. That's a big difference.
Calvillo under pressure, a screen pass. It's Deontay Whitaker, breaks the first tackle, then caught from behind. Eric England swallowing the small running back, but not until he had a gain of 7 yards on the play.
Good call by the Alouettes, a nice screen, nice individual effort by Whitaker to make Ivan miss on the first tackle. Put yourself in a situation where now you're 2nd and 3, and you can either run the football or throw the football.
Whitaker and Eric Lapointe shoveling at running back. 2nd and 3. Calvillo in the shotgun. It's complete to Kwame Cavill, and he's rocked on the play by Kenny Wheaton. Very close to a first down.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to be just short, and they're going to have a decision to make. You know, he might be a half a yard short or so. See what Matthews wants to do early in the football game.
Again, the Argo defense liking to lay back, soft underside, and Anthony Calvillo content to take advantage of that with a screen and now a little slant on the outside.
You know,
back down to the sidelines with more on Damon Allen. Here's Brenda.
Well, Damon Allen obviously must be in some pain with his right throwing hand, which he did injure because the medical staff just went over and gave him a needle. The only thing I can assume from that was that it was for pain relief, guys.
Yes, that would be the likely observation as Allen continues to stretch the hand. Remember, right on the back side of that hand, he had a huge bruise that affected him for 3 weeks during the middle part of the season.
The one thing we can be pretty sure of is that they didn't freeze that right hand. Because you're not going to freeze the quarterback's right hand and you won't be able to throw the football. So obviously it's something for the pain.
So it'll be 3rd down, less than a yard. And the Alouettes will go for it just inside their own 40. Calvillo calls his own number, and he'll have the Montreal 1st down. Calvillo under pressure to perform up to the standards he set this year, coming off the most successful season as a quarterback, the East nominee for most outstanding player for the 2nd year in a row. The 31-year-old, 10-year veteran with 5,891 yards passing and 37 touchdowns to set a new team record.
It's a great thing they do on that quarterback sneak is they call it on the first sound, try to catch the defense not ready.
Calvillo in the flats to Whitaker, inside Bonner. Bonner with the shoestring, can't hold on, and then he gets support. A short gain of maybe 1 or 2 on the play. Whitaker's the kind of player that can make you miss.
Well, that's what the good backs do. They make the first guy miss, and then maybe get upfield and get 8 to 10 yards. But Bonner's a tough guy to make miss. He's a very good tackler in open space, and at least he slowed him up enough so his buddies can come and gang in on the tackle.
Bonner, the defensive player of the week, led the team with 5 tackles and 2 interceptions in the East Semi against BC. 2nd and 9. Here comes the blitz. The ball's away. It's complete to a diving Jermaine Copeland. No. He says he has it. Protesting the call. The official says no.
A nice route of turning Clifford Ivory around. He gets a little push off. Lays out for it. It looks like a catch to me. But the point I'd make is his depth wasn't long enough to pick up the 1st down anyway. If he had caught that ball, he's a yard short.
Did he have the hand under the ball, or did the ball touch the field? The fans upset with the call too, and the Alouettes will punt with 11 minutes to go until halftime. A high, towering kick driving Bashar Livingston to his own 18-yard line. Livingston knocked down. Michael Botterill, the rookie, with a huge tackle. And there's an injured Argo. So a defensive struggle here in the early going of Montreal. Bashar Livingston was the injured Argo. He's up and looking okay on the sideline. A scary looking tackle.
Well, normally you want to pin a returner like Livingston between the numbers and the sideline. Here he catches it inside the numbers, gives them a lot of room. It's just a tenacious cover team for the Alouettes making plays.
Twin tight end formation. Argos, Brady with time rolling out of the backfield to Jenkins. And Jenkins is hit immediately. Anwar Stewart, quick to get there. The gain will be 4 yards on the play.
Not a bad pickup on 1st down. A little swing route to your back. You're just making positive yards. Now you're in 2nd and 6. These are the plays that will tell the game. The 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4. Can you convert and get 1st downs? Brady
in a 2nd and 6 situation, getting good time with this twin tight formation. The Alouettes drop off in coverage. Rolling right now, Brady buying time across the green. It's complete to Miles right at the 1st down marker. We'll have to see what kind of spot he gets.
Well, he's got the 1st down, but this is playground football. Brady's feeling a little pressure. He just gets out of the pocket, wants something to happen. Tony Miles does a good job of breaking off his route and getting open, but they can't depend on this to move the football consistently. I mean, they did it one time, they got the 1st down, but they're going to have to get some type of rhythm going offensively.
Miles settling into that zone, and a good pass across the grain by Brady on a 1st down now. Toronto handing off up the middle, and it's been tough going today for the Argo running game.
Yeah, the first quarter, Jenkins was flying into these holes. He wasn't getting a lot of yards. He was meeting resistance. Now he's going into these holes a little bit slower because he knows the Alouettes are stacked up, just waiting to hit him.
The Alouettes have really loaded up their defensive line. They've got Belly back. He weighs 300 pounds. They've added Tito Simpson. He's 270. They've got big men, along with guys like Ed Fillion, the starter at 280. So they've braced themselves for a run game. Regular formation now. Brady is 5 for 5 through the air. In relief. There's movement on the line. The ball's away. It's complete to Jenkins across the middle. Breaking tackles! And finally hauled down by Reggie Durden as he broke away from Strickland. But there is a flag on the play.
Now, to me, it looked like offsides Montreal, which would mean the play would stand. But I don't know if they're going to call movement.
Offside. Montreal 96. Penalties decline. First down.
It's big Tito Simpson, the rookie out of North Carolina, offside, and a huge play for the Argos.
We saw Jenkins used out of the backfield last week in situations like this when they're getting pressure. And again, they do it today. This time, he's better covered. I mean, Strickland's all over him. But Brady throws the ball right on the money, and they pick up huge yardage.
How about the poise of that Argo offensive line with all the noise not to move? First down, Toronto. At the 33 of Montreal. Brady throwing again. It's complete to Alfred Jackson. Jackson is cornered and tackled at the 25. The gain will be 8. Alfred Jackson has only played 8 games this year because of assorted injuries.
Now they go into the two tights and they drop back and throw the football, but instead of man coverage, they get a soft zone coverage. So Brady's read is straight out to the wide receiver. He's got that huge cushion for the defensive back, and they pick up 7 yards now in a 2nd and 3. Maybe 2.
2nd and 2. Brady on the quarterback sneak. Good push from the Argo offensive line, and he'll be close to a first down. Marcus Brady looking more composed in his 2nd year as a quarterback in the CFL. Baptized by fire 1 year ago when he was thrown in. Looking good here in relief of Damon Allen.
Yeah, I think last year when you saw Reggie Slack go down, it was just the whole team was deflated when Brady had to come in, and that was the turning point of the game.
Well,
now,
Tim Ballard threw the interception, had the one pass drop, both back for touchdowns, 14 points from the Montreal defense. You're right.
Yeah.
A huge sag on the Argo bench.
And I don't think you'll feel that from this Argo team today because they've seen Brady in these situations and they've seen him play well.
Brady, 7 for 7 through the air, 80 yards passing so far here, coming off the bench after the hand injury to the starter, Damon Allen. The Argos eating up time and now on a 6-play drive. They'll have to go for it here. 3rd and less than a yard. After that last sneak. Brady will sneak again, twisting for the necessary first down yardage. You know, the Argos were saying at training camp that Marcus Brady reminds them a lot of a young Damon Allen, the way he moves. Great athletic ability, sharp mind.
Yeah, they were also saying he's one of the ones that picked up the offense the quickest out of the quarterbacks. And drives like this, when you go forward on 3rd down and you chew up the clock, that's keeping Anthony Cavillo and the Alouette offense off the field, and that's what you want to do.
Damon Allen continues to stay warm. Twin tight end formation. First down, Toronto. They go back to the ground. Jenkins finds some daylight. Oh, he had a sliver to get through there. And a 5-yard pickup. Into the red zone now, the scoring zone of Montreal.
Yeah, neither team has had to give up on their game plan yet. The Argos are sticking with their running game. They're sticking with their 2 tight end package, mixing it up with 6 receivers. Hey, they're up 5-3. There's no reason to panic right now, and they're moving the football.
2nd and 5 from the 18 of the Alouettes. Brady in the shotgun. Here comes the blitz. The ball's away to the end zone to Alfred Jackson! Touchdown, Toronto! Alfred Jackson in behind Wayne Shaw, and the life has gone out of this building.
You have to be impressed with Brady's performance as he stepped in. He's been so calm and relaxed. His vision is there. He saw the coverage when he stepped up to the line of scrimmage, knew where he wanted to go. And what about the two guys that came off the injured list? Jackson and Mitchell stepping up, making the big plays. That's a great catch.
What a pass.
Over his outside shoulder. Yeah, the ball's put the only place he could have caught it, over his outside shoulder, but it's a great catch.
Marcus Brady in relief with a huge scoring drive. The point after is good, but there's a flag on the play. Pinball Clemens saying he got Alfred Jackson for this reason, to have him in a big game. He thought he'd be connecting with his old BC teammate Damon Allen, but today Allen's hurt, and it's AJ from Brady.
Yeah! It's just tough.
Too many men. Montreal. Penalties declined. Single point.
So the point after is good. And the veteran, Alfred Jackson, from the sophomore, Marcus Brady, and the Argos lead by 9. A 17-yard scoring pass from Brady to Alfred Jackson, and the Argos open their lead.
Well, they're down in scoring territory. You're going to get man-to-man coverage, and it's 101 right here. Can you beat your guy? Just get by him any way you can and look for the football. Brady sees it's 101 coverage. He makes a great move, lays the ball over his outside shoulder. Great catch. That is people stepping up when they have to in a big game and making the play.
Jackson, who missed the semifinal with a quad injury, looked full value there. It's Deontay Whitaker on the kick return from his own 13. Lots of speed, breaking tackles, down in front of his own bench, and he hauls the football to the 50. A 38-yard return on the kickoff. As we check the anatomy of the drive, Brady through the air to his running back, Jenkins, busting a big gain down the middle, keeping the ball himself up the gut for the first down, composed and throwing to the end zone to Alfred Jackson, 17 yards and a touchdown, and Brady has not had an incomplete pass yet today.
Brady's looked great, and the receivers for the Argos have looked great, but this is a big drive for the Alouettes. Down 12-3, they've got to get some points out of this.
Montreal now with a double tight end formation. Calvillo, lots of time in the pocket, hammers the pass to Eric Lapointe. And Lapointe goes out of bounds with an 8-yard gain.
Well, it's a nice conservative throw by Anthony. I think he was looking for someone else to come open, but Happel had fell down on the route, so his outlet was Lapointe. They pick up their 8 yards in a nice 2nd and 2.
Lapointe suffering through an injury-plagued season with a big catch there. The Argos owning the passing department. This time Lapointe's number is called up the middle on 2nd and 2, and he hurdles his way to what looks like a Montreal first down with 5 minutes and counting left in the first half.
I think everyone would agree a healthy Eric Lapointe is a great football player. He can make a big difference in this football game. The key is, can he stay healthy?
Oh, he's a big hero in this town. He's featured in a men's magazine. He's on one of those dating shows on TV. They love him here in Montreal. The French-Canadian running back. Play action now. Calvillo rolling right, throwing deep. Copeland's got it. That brings out the Thundersticks. Remember, he said it's going to get ugly. We're going to blow him away.
Well, they do a nice spike movement at the line of scrimmage, meaning they switch positions with his other slot back receiver, and then he gets one-on-one coverage with the free safety Steinhauer, which right away advantage to the receiver, and he makes a nice play.
Copeland now with 2 catches in this game. That's as many as he had in the entire East Final 1 year ago. 5 receiver set. Anthony Calvillo fires low. Kwame Cavill goes down for it. This Alouette receiving corps has speed, smarts, and agility.
Yeah, I really thought this was going to be a key drive for the Alouettes after going down 12-3. They got the nice return by Whitaker to put him in position, and now they're moving the football. Maybe that gave him some confidence because Anthony's looking better. He's looking sharper. He's reading the defenses much better.
Calvillo responding to the challenge set down by Brady. Second down, to the air again. Copeland is open underneath Ivory, and he turns and has the first down. He set the bar high for this game.
Yeah, he's stepping up and making plays. These are those rub routes we talked a lot about last week. The thing about this route is usually you run those into the boundary. Anthony called this one to the field. It's a lot longer to throw. That ball hangs up there for a long time, so you better win on your route, which he did, and fortunately he got the first down.
Alouettes into the red zone where they have scored 92% of the time this year. In the shotgun, Calvillo, here comes the blitz, stepping up for protection. Now he throws to the end zone, incomplete. Kwame Cavill, the intended receiver, and there's a flag on the play. Antonius Bonner in the vicinity, and Cavill thinks he's got a pass interference in favor of Montreal. Antonius Bonner is called for illegal contact on a receiver.
Well, here's Bonner right here, and here's Steinhauer. He's going to come on the blitz. That forces Bonner to be put in coverage, and it's kind of a man-to-man coverage. He's going to take the corner route.
I don't know about the call.
I don't know about that either. I mean, they're both trying to play the football.
But it gives Montreal a first down. First and goal from the Argo 9-yard line. Looking for their first touchdown of this final. Calvillo bouncing back. Wide open. Ben Cahoon. Touchdown. Alouettes. The Canadian who led the league with 112 catches has a huge catch here now.
Mark, it's just a huge drive and a huge touchdown. Get back hopefully to 12-10 and go into halftime with a closer, only down by 2. I mean, that was a great drive that Anthony put together, utilizing all his weapons offensively.
Point after from Kellen, right through the middle. The Alouettes have their first touchdown. Calvillo has his first touchdown pass of the game, and Ben Cahoon, his first playoff touchdown ever.
He ran a little stop and go on that. He went up to about 10 yards, stuttered a little bit, and then beat Wheaton on the stop and go. Watch his little, get right by him. Nice move, nice use of his hands, because they're trying to grab you out there down near the goal line. Gave him the old swim move and got his hands off him.
And he had to go up for that ball.
I was going to say that he's all alone. It looks like an easy touchdown, but no, he's got to lay out and make a tough catch.
So Calvillo to Cahoon, a 7-play drive, a 9-yard touchdown pass, and one of the best passing connections in the CFL is bang on.
Yeah, it's really enjoyable to see these guys playing at the top of their game in such an important game like the Eastern Final. We've seen the Argo receivers step up. Now we're seeing Copeland and Cahoon step up and show why they were the best during the season.
Ben Cahoon, the first Alouette receiver to lead the CFL in catches since 1960, when Hal Patterson did it. It's Bashar Livingston from his own 15, reverses, comes up through the hash mark, twisting and turning, fumbles the ball. The Argos have it. Tony Miles right there, and he got an Argo bounce. That was close on a 24-yard return as we revisit the scoring drive of the Alouettes. Calvillo through the air, rolling and on the money. Great catch by Copeland. Far side, Cavill down low. Now throwing bullets back to Copeland. And Anthony Calvillo to the end zone for 9 yards. And a big catch from Ben Cahoon, who led the league with 112. Argos first down. Brady still in the game. Play, handoff up the middle to Michael Jenkins. And he'll have a gain of about 3 on the play as we go to the sidelines. And here's Brenda with the new Argo owners.
Howard, Sokolowski and David Cinnamon are the new owners of the Toronto Argonauts. And Howard, I'll start with you. What is the most important thing you want to get done in year one of your ownership?
Well, this has been an unbelievable experience, Kay, and if we can approximate this experience at Skydome next year, that would be unbelievable. 60,000 people going crazy here. CFL football is unbelievable. We got to bring it back to Toronto.
Now, you have said that you want to build a new stadium. How vital is that to the survival of the franchise?
I think like Montreal here, it's crucial that we get a venue that the team and the fans will be very comfortable in, and then bring it to the Skydome for big games like this.
Sorry about that, you guys just missed the touchdown.
Tony Miles, 67 yards, and the Argos strike back.
Tony Miles is so impressive. I said it last week. I said it throughout the season. I mean, he's lightning in a bottle. One play away. And then we thought, you know, when Montreal came down and scored, they're going to be within 2 at halftime. But boy, Brady has looked so well. And he got Miles one-on-one short side, hit him on a slant, and Tony did the rest.
And Marcus Brady has just invigorated this Toronto offense. The point after from Prefontaine is good. And Toronto reasserts its lead with 1:56 to go in the first half. Marcus Brady with 2 touchdown passes here in relief. And a big move on Baron Miles.
It's just his speed. You know, he's a great receiver. He recognizes his coverages, but once he gets the ball in open field, you can't match his speed. He runs that 4.3, you can't catch him. Makes one move here, boom, right by Miles. Forget about it. Nice little stutter step on Loftus there, who is a great open field tackler. And he goes the distance.
And Marcus Brady, 9 for 9, passing for 164 yards and 2 touchdowns.
That's not bad, huh? That's
not
good.
Bad at all. There are the numbers again, just to reinforce. Spectacular relief appearance here today by Marcus Brady.
I really think that goes back to their last game against the Alouettes when he stepped into the game and he had such confidence because they won that football game. And now he carries that over into the Eastern Final. It's little things like that that you don't know how the game is going to develop. Allen goes down, Brady comes in.
Michael Clements showed quiet confidence coming into this game. Decided underdogs the Argos were, and right now they've got a 19-10 lead. A reminder coming up in about 2 minutes, Brian Williams and the panel at the half. Sean Millington, Greg Frères, and Danny Mack. Halftime in Montreal.
Well, I bet D-Mac missed Tony Miles in that receiving core for the Tiger Cats this year.
Deontay Whitaker on the bounce, and he scoots up the far sideline for a gain of 12 after a 49-yard kick. And again, the life has gone out of this Big O. 60,000 fans with noisemakers, and the Argo offense has silenced them.
Well, at the start of the season, we talked a lot about the Argos, and we said their receiving core was going to be their strength. Well, it didn't come out. It didn't pan out that way. They got injuries in that position. They didn't play that well. But now it looks like they're all coming together for the playoffs and stepping up and making the big plays.
Confident-looking Argo sideline. A 9-point lead, 1:52 to the half. What will AC do for an encore? He goes on the ground. It's Eric Lapointe dragging the Argo tackler for 5 yards and close to a first down. Eric Lapointe, they say, is the fastest back in Montreal, and he's got power to spare.
He is a strong runner. He's fast when he gets into the open field, and he's a typical north-south runner. He doesn't waste a lot of movement going laterally. He just hits the ball right up the gut.
Measurement after that 10-yard run, just shy of 10 yards, will make it 2nd down and inches. Point tweaked his hamstring in the final game of the year against Ottawa, and having the bye, Don Matthews gave the Alouettes a week off, and that was a great chance for Lapointe to heal up. What's been a tough year from an injury point of view. Calvillo, 10 for 15 and a touchdown, but his numbers have been doubled by Brady so far today. On the ground, 2nd and inches, and Bruno Heppel
right up the middle for a huge first down. Reminder, coming up next week, it's the debut of our brand new CBC Sports Saturday, November 29th at 2 Eastern, with host Scott Russell. CBC Sports Saturday kicks it all off with Scotty in a week. First down, Calvillo, lots of time, rolling, 5 steamboats, throwing deep to Cavell. He can't reach it. Calvillo has gone deep a lot here in the first half.
Well,
good Argo coverage.
He's had the time from his offensive line. He's had the protection. He's also created more time by rolling out of the pocket. And I'm just impressed with Antonius Bonner. I mean, he's a linebacker being there, almost making the play on the ball.
Kwame Cavell missed last year's East Final. Missed a couple of games this year, having a knee operation. And it's been all Argos through the air against
you wouldn't have thought that before the game.
Top passing teams in the league, Montreal. Second down, Calvillo, right through the middle. It's complete to Jermaine Copeland, striking through the heart of that Argos secondary that led the league in interceptions at 26.
Well, Cliff Ivory gets a little upset. He's covering Copeland on this one, and he's saying, hey, Copeland's pushing off of me to get open. But hey, it goes both ways. You know, the defenders are grabbing and holding. As a receiver, sometimes you got to create your space, push off a little bit.
First down, up the middle, a huge hole for Eric Lapointe. Mike O'Shea, the Argos' leading tackler, brings them down after a gain of about 5 on the play. 2nd and 5, 58 seconds to go to the half. The Alouettes looking for some momentum to answer back to consecutive Argo touchdowns. Noah Cantor steadies himself along the trenches. 2nd and 5. Calvillo in the air again. And the pass is complete. Shy of the first down, Kwame Cavell loses his helmet in the process and looks to be shaken up.
I like the play calling. It's a great throw by Anthony, but again, it's a receiver not getting his depth to get the first down. I mean, sure, they're in a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 where maybe they can go for it, but why not push that route up an extra yard and get the first down?
Kevin Ivan really rolled him up good with the shot after the catch, his full weight coming down on the shoulders of Cavell. But it's a 3rd down situation, 3rd and a yard, and the Alouettes will go for the field goal. Kellett's been good from 38 yards.
Timeout, Toronto.
Now the Argos will make Matt Kellett think about it by calling a timeout.
Not only make him think about it, but maybe put something together where if it's a missed field goal, you know you got those big guys covering, maybe set up a return with Livingston. This is where the returners can have their most success as a missed field goal, because the big guys are out there.
Well, Eric Lapointe certainly has been a warrior today, to the air and on the ground in the first half for Montreal. We remind you that you can join us online at cbc.ca/CFL and vote for your warrior of the game at the end of the 3rd quarter. From the 37, Matt Kellett is good. So with 39 seconds to go until the half, the Alouettes score again their 2nd field goal of the game to go with a touchdown. But this has not been the cakewalk they talked about.
No, not being down by 6 points with only 39 seconds left in the first half. And with 39 seconds left, if the Argos do get a good return, look for them to try to move the football and score some more points. There's no reason to go into a shell now. You're moving the ball well offensively. Keep it up.
Kellett 2 for 2. The Argos getting set to set up their return as we look at their first half possessions, starting a little bit slowly. Punt, then the missed field goal, and then igniting with Marcus Brady coming off the bench after Damon Allen injured his passing hand. 2 touchdown passes.
Two plays, you get a touchdown. Those are the type of drives you love.
Michael Jenkins has been a warhorse on the ground, and it's been tough slugging for him. Brady showing poise for a sophomore in a huge game in unfriendly circumstances here in Montreal. Livingston from the 25 straight up the sideline, looking for a seam, and he's hauled down, but great field position. The Argos will go on offense just shy of center field, and Livingston, who has 5 kick returns for touchdowns this year, brings it back 29 yards, but so far Marcus Brady has been simply perfect.
9 for 9, you can't do much better than that. Kellett, that was kind of a pooch kickoff, which gives the Argos good field position. With 34 seconds, they have plenty of time to at least get into field goal range.
A couple of first downs will do it for sure. 34 seconds to go on the clock. Here comes the blitz. Brady gets it away, throwing it up. In behind Lyle Knight. He was looking for it, couldn't find it. And there were 3 Alouette defenders in the neighborhood. So the Alouettes bring the house.
Yeah, they bring the blitz. I think they bring Dwayne Butler off the edge, and he's coming hard. So you have to get rid of the football early, and the receiver's just not ready to get the football.
Tough one for Brady, his first incomplete pass of the game. 2nd and 10, 29 seconds on the clock. Argos looking for field goal range. Here they come again. There's a flag. Brady with time gets it away. Jenkins is hit at midfield. Gang tackle. Omar Evans and Kevin Johnson bring the Argo running back down. But a flag.
Looks like an all sides on the Alouettes again, but not knowing whether the Argos moved or not.
Right you are. You're 2 for 2 in the penalty predictions.
I'm going to stop right now.
Montreal 54.
But what a veteran quarterback does in that situation, when you think you have the guy off sides, buy some time and just huck it up deep, because you know you have the penalty. And I thought Marcus was going to do it at first because he was buying his time.
Mark Megna is the man offside, off the rush end position for Montreal. 2nd and 5. Toronto. It's loud. Brady trying to make his calls. Here comes the blitz again, and they've got him for a big sack. Strickland and Johnson smother the sophomore. Matthews wants a timeout. 18 seconds to go until the half.
Timeout. Well, Johnson is just totally untouched, coming right through the middle. He's coming through the A and B gap, which is in football, the gaps closest to the center is the A gap. The next gap outside the guard is the B gap. And that's the closest line to the quarterback. You have to seal that up as an offense because it's too short of a run to make the sack.
About 2 years ago, Kevin Johnson was cut by Calgary on the scrap heap of football, living out west. He got another chance from Jim Pop and Don Matthews, and he's been terrific the last 2 years. Whitaker and Stokes back for the return. Prefontaine to punt. The clock starts now. 18 seconds and counting. To the wide side, it's angled. Stokes picks it up. There's a flag. It'll be no yards against the Argos. 8 seconds on the clock. A 40-yard punt, no return.
That's a great penalty for the Argos to take. First of all, it's a great punt to kick it away into the sideline, but keep it in play. But hey, once the ball bounces, you can get within that 5-yard zone, and it's only a 5-yard penalty opposed to a 10 or 15.
No yards. Toronto number 6. First down.
So Matthews has 8 seconds, but doesn't have very good field position. Starting from his own 27, it's Calvillo, and it looks like they'll just run it out. Calvillo will take a knee. The clock ticks to 6. And what has been a surprising turnabout here in the opening half.
Well,
the league's top passing quarterback against the backup, Brady, and it's all Toronto in the first half. The gun sounds to end the first half of football in the East Division final, and it's the Argonauts, not the Alouettes, who have the lead, 19-13. Tony Miles with a 67-yard touchdown catch from the backup Marcus Brady as we join Brenda.
Don, how would you rate your team's performance during that first half of play?
Well, certainly we feel that we should be ahead. Defensively, we missed a couple tackles that allowed them to have a big play, so we need to straighten that out.
Good luck in the second.
Thanks.
Now let's head down to the end zone and Brian Williams in the panel.
Thank you, Brenda. No smiles from Don Matthews this afternoon. We'll have highlights and analysis in just a minute, but some quick thoughts, fellas, on that first half.
I think this is right where Toronto wanted to be. Talking to each player yesterday, they had visions of leading at halftime. They're at the right spot.
Well, a sign of a great football team is a team that can make adjustments quickly, and they're starting to make adjustments offensively. And then we saw a little bit of adjustments for Montreal defensively as well, so we'll see what they do in a second.
Well, the giant Montreal was supposed to come in there and be dominating this game, but David has his sling swinging, and he's throwing rocks, and the Giant is reeling.
We'll take a break here in Montreal. Still to come this afternoon or this evening, it'll be Saskatchewan at Edmonton. Up next, we'll have highlights and analysis from the first half. Tony Miles with a big touchdown. The Argonauts in a surprising 6-point lead. Halftime in Montreal. Noise continues even though play has stopped and the Alouettes trail by 6 points. If you are just joining us with Sean Millington, Greg Frères, and special guest Danny McManus, I'm Brian Williams. Let's run down highlights, analyze that first half, and one of the big stories is the pounding, Greg, that Damon Allen took, eventually knocked out of the game.
Well, Damon took a serious pounding, but he was staying in the pocket. He was delivering. This Toronto offense was really being impressive in the first quarter, and then all of a sudden Damon gets hurt. And it was like deja vu from last year when Reggie Slack ended up going down, saying, here we go again. But when Marcus Brady came in, this team did not quit. He was 9 for 9. He was perfect when he came in, and this team is rallying around Brady right now.
Well, speaking of Marcus Brady, he combined with a former teammate of yours, Sean, out in BC.
Well, Alfred Jackson. I've played a lot of time. I spent a lot of time with Alfred Jackson, and this is one of those guys who's a big-time gamer. He's going to step up and has stepped up in this game, made an amazing catch over his shoulder. He knows where to be on the field, and that's the difference that really counts this time of the year.
Well, it was interesting. Pinball Clemens told us yesterday, Alfred Jackson is comfortable with Damon Allen. He looked pretty darn comfortable there with Marcus Brady. We were saying as we watched this first half, where was the Montreal offense? And then Anthony Calvillo with a brilliant drive late in the second quarter.
He did a great job. You know, the champ was on the ropes. The contender was out there. He was hitting him with some shots. Then the champ comes out. Anthony's doing a great job getting the ball out. He gets it out to Copeland. Try to keep the drive going. Just get some things. Then he comes back to Calvillo. Then you come back with, like Darren talked about his game notes, the haymakers. Here goes one to Copeland again. Now to really try to get back into this ball game, Cahoon on a great route comes out with a touchdown. Let's get Montreal, get that momentum back, and also get this crowd back into the game, because at that one point it was pretty quiet at the stadium.
Now I talked about Alfred Jackson being a teammate of Sean's. What did Darren Flutie say? Danny Mac wishes Tony Miles was with him this year in Hamilton.
Yeah, exactly. And what Darren said is true. What he does after the football is more important. Tony can take the ball the distance. You can throw him a little 6-7 yard pass. He can go 70-80 yards with it. From a quarterback standpoint, that's exciting because that counts as our stats because it makes us look good. But when you got a player like Tony Miles, you got to make sure you got great tacklers out there. He can make the difference in a ball game.
Well, you know what I wanted to talk about is how great this Toronto offense is doing, but also the offense that Montreal had in the first quarter was all about a pass interference to Copeland, and that's all they had. Now all of a sudden you saw, like Danny was talking about, this 7-play drive that turned into a touchdown to Cahoon. He's starting to figure things out. And now Toronto, I said the third quarter is going to be key for them. Toronto needs to be able to come out in the third quarter, be able to show some different looks now, surprise this potent Montreal offense with something new, and that's going to be key.
Sean, we talked about different looks. Rich Stubler, the defensive coach for Toronto, did an outstanding job early of giving Calvillo different looks.
Well, that's one of the real keys for Toronto. Rich Stubler is a defensive mastermind who's able to scheme up different things and keep the quarterback guessing. Now, this is a time when Montreal is really missing not having a running game. This is a time when you need to be able to keep the ball on the ground, establish your front, and then get those defensive backs to be sucking up, and then you can go deep with it again.
Danny, when we talk about quarterback composure, it's always referring to someone like Ricky Ray, and Darren Flutie made a great point. Last year when Slack was injured, the Toronto team just seemed to go woof, on the bench. This year, there was confidence because they knew what Brady could do, but I'm amazed at his composure today under pressure.
Oh, he's doing an outstanding job. And Marcus came in here last year, and guys, like you said, were unsure what he was going to do. He has experience now. He's showing them, hey, I can make the plays for you. Now all of his teammates are rallying around him and lifting him up and making plays for him.
Now we got to go to the genius for the final comment. On the pregame show, Greg Frere said, no, I'm talking to you, Frere, as surprising as it seems. On the pregame show, Frere said the third quarter will be key.
It's going to be key, and I said the team that makes the best adjustments. Toronto has got to come out and show some unique things for Anthony Cavillo again in the third quarter. Montreal, their defense is getting beat right now, and that is surprising me. They got to be able to make some adjustments at halftime.
Well, the Argonauts lead it at half here in Montreal, at the half here in Montreal by 6. Coming up, it's the Western Final. Some of the players arriving at Edmonton's Commonwealth Stadium. There's Mike Pringle. We saw Kenton Keith earlier. Western Final coming up later, back in Montreal right after this. Halftime at Montreal's Olympic Stadium. Huge surprise. The Argonauts by 6. Coming up in about 2 hours and 25 minutes from now, we'll go live to Edmonton for Saskatchewan and the Eskimos. Steve Armitage standing by live right now in Edmonton. Steve, yesterday they tell me that Danny Barrett was relaxed and composed at the news conference. He's still that way this afternoon?
Brian Williams just said, Danny, that you were relaxed and composed at the press conference yesterday afternoon. I'd never seen you so up, so motivated, so anxious to get going.
Well, you're exactly right. You know, it's been a great week for our ball club and just the excitement brewing. And now it's game day, and the closer you get to game day, the more exciting it is. And I was just enjoying the moment, you know, because it was a great time. I enjoyed talking and feeling all the questions and just having a good time.
You said yesterday you wanted your team to be like the Florida Marlins, who went into Yankee land and beat the Yankees in the house that Ruth built. Yeah. Now you want your team to be like them coming into Edmonton.
Well, exactly. I use that analogy. You know, when you come into Commonwealth Stadium with all the history that's here, you know, you got to feel good about the opportunity. And I want our guys to come out and take advantage of it. You know, it's not often you're going to have days like this, and we want to take advantage of it.
If there's one key for your team today to get to the Grey Cup next week in Regina, what would it be?
I would say composure, and I think that's the key when you come in here. Is, you know, that's their home park. You know, they're going to come out from the beginning with a rush, and we need to keep our composure, not do anything silly, and realize it's a full 60-minute game. And if we do that, we'll be successful.
I don't think turf's going to be that big a problem to you.
Not at all. Like I said yesterday, once we had the opportunity to come out here, that was half the battle. It's a fast track, and it's geared for us.
Thank you very much, Coach. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you as well.
A composed Danny Barrett. Brian?
All right, thank you, Steve. He was composed yesterday. He says he's fired up today, as is the province of Saskatchewan. I'll tell you what, Tony Miles and the Argos are fired up here in Montreal. Back right after this.
Welcome back to Olympic Stadium in Montreal. The Argos with a 6-point lead as we go to the sidelines, and here's Brenda with Michael Clemens.
Michael, how serious is Damon Allen's injury, and will Marcus Brady start the second half?
Marcus Brady will start the second half. He'll probably play the rest of the way. We've been comfortable with both of those guys all year long, and Marcus is going to take the helm.
Can Damon go in if need be?
We really won't look at that right now. Right now, Marcus is going to be the guy. We're going to think that way.
How important is it to give Montreal's offense some different looks in the second half?
Extremely so. I thought we played well early, with the exception of the first play that came out. We regrouped, did a good job, and then they found a rhythm. And so we have to find a way defensively to take that away from them again.
Good luck in the second half.
Thank you so much.
Marcus Brady has the coach's confidence and the green light for the second half. After a tremendous first half, completing 90% of his passes for 164 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, how could you make a change when the guy comes in and goes 9 for 10 and throws for that many yards? It moves the ball enough to score 2 touchdowns. Stick with him. Hey, if he falters, if something goes wrong down the end, if Damon's healthy, yeah, bring him back. But boy, Brady just looked so good in that first half.
He did, and remember, he threw for 2 touchdowns 3 weeks ago as the Argos beat the Alouettes. We're underway in the second half. Deontay Whitaker across the 30-yard line, and he runs into the kickoff cover team of the Argos. As we check the first half stats, pretty even when it comes to first downs, but a glaring discrepancy right there.
That's the big number of yards passing, and it's coming from the Argos, not the Alouettes. That's the surprising factor.
The Argos also controlling the clock and keeping Anthony Calvillo off the field for a lot of that second quarter. But Calvillo looking pretty good in the second quarter after a tentative start, completing 66% of his passes in the first half, 106 yards and a touchdown, a 9-yard touchdown pass to Ben Cahoon, the only catch of the first half by Cahoon. The Alouettes will start with the ground game and right into the open arms of the Argo defense. There's the pass distribution chart for Anthony Calvillo, and a lot of his passes short.
Yeah, this is the area that we're looking for Anthony, and that we thought we'd see from Anthony, the deep shots. He tried a couple early, completed one, had interference on one, but they really haven't gone back to it.
And that's the rope-a-dope Argo defense you've been talking about. Giving the short pass up, protecting the deep strike. 2nd and 8 for the Alouettes. Calvillo throwing. It's complete to Ben Cahoon, and he pays a price on the comeback route on the near sideline. He'll be shy of the first down by about 2 yards.
All right, I've been getting on the receivers a little bit for not running their routes deep enough, but here's a situation where Ben runs far enough, but he has to come back to the football just to secure the catch, and he leaves his team just a yard short of the first down.
They're the extraordinary numbers this year by the duo. And coming into this game, they each had 17 catches in 2 games against the Argos. Just the second catch, though, for Cahoon. And the Alouettes will gamble on their own 42-yard line, 3rd and more than a yard. Play whistled in. Calvillo up behind his center, Brian Chu. He'll hand off. There's a big first down. Heppel, airborne, and across the 52. They needed 1, they got 10.
There was a little bit of confusion with the Argo defense. I think they thought they were going to punt it away, and then they were changing positions. It's Bruno Heppel, a nice strong run. He goes up and over, expecting to get hit. Doesn't get hit, so keeps going for a 9-yard gain.
Well, big Bruno Heppel sits 3rd on the depth chart on a pass-happy offense. But whenever he's called on, he's been big. Staying in the game now to block. First down, Calvillo way deep on the drop. And his pass is knocked down. Noah Cantor, and then Cantor gets into a bit of a fist fight with Paul Lambert. But Cantor with his hands up. And a knockdown.
Yeah, he has plenty of time to throw the football here. He's looking for Woodcock on an underneath route, but the defensive lineman gets his hands up and knocks it down. It's going to get chippy. Listen, we have just under a half football to play to see who goes to the Grey Cup. I mean, let's lay it on the line. The guys are laying it on the line. It's going to be interesting.
Cantor with 2 sacks last week in the semifinal. Calvillo throwing, and a big catch. Ben Cahoon twisting and going upward. Has to readjust his face mask after that one.
Hey, he's doing a great job. He's getting open. It's a great catch and a nice throw by Anthony. But listen, you're 3 yards short. We need to get the depth for the first down. We can't punt the ball away after a great catch like that.
Talking about the great duos, there are the numbers from Copeland Cahoon, surpassing the likes of Greer and Talbert in Toronto back in '83 and Sapunjas and Pitts in Calgary in the mid-90s. But 4 yards shy of the first down, Kellett will have to punt. A high kick to the far sideline and out of bounds, and no chance for a return. A good punt. Livingston couldn't get there, and the Argos will scrimmage deep in their own zone when we come back. Back in Montreal, the visiting Argonauts with a 6-point lead here early in the 3rd quarter. As we remind you to check us out, the CFL on CBC Online, and tell us who you think played tough enough today to be the warrior of the game. We need your votes at the end of the 3rd quarter. Only at cbc.ca/CFL. CFL. The Argos with their deepest start of the game in their own end. Double tight formation. Here comes the blitz, pumping. Brady throwing deep down the near sideline. Alfred Jackson drops the ball. But there's a flag. And it may be a call in the Montreal secondary.
Yeah, they're going to call Reggie Durden for getting there too early and making contact with Jackson. But it's a nice play call. They pump that pass to Mitchell and then go up the sideline to Jackson.
Pass interference. Montreal number 8. First down.
It is Reggie Durden, and that helps the Argos out of bad field position.
And they're running this play at a double tight. The formation, they were strictly just rushing the football at him. Again, these are ticky-tack calls here in a big game. I don't know. You know, I'm a receiver. I love for them to call interference, but that's a tough call.
You say ticky-tack?
Whatever that means.
Brady, quarterback sneak on the draw, rather. And there's some more pushing and shoving. The ball came loose. Was the whistle gone? Was the play dead? It will be second down. And a momentary flurry of excitement here at the Big O as Johnson gobbled it up.
Yeah, there's a lot of ticky-tack going on out there.
Draw play by Brady. There's the ball, but he was down. The ball came loose on contact. It is rock hard, artificial turf. Second down, 7. Fans trying to deafen the backup. Here comes the blitz. The ball is complete to Mitchell, but shy of the first down. Reggie Durden and a make good tackle there.
That's a great tackle by Reggie Durden. Again, the receiver's not getting the depth he needs to pick up the automatic first down, but a good call by the Argos to roll away from the pressure. Butler comes off the left edge. What do the Argos do? They roll right. And Mitchell's wide open. All he needs to do is push that route up about 2 more yards, and then he can fall forward for the first down.
So a great open field tackle, Darren, and the Argos will punt. Prefontaine hammers a line drive. It pushes Stokes deep and goes out of bounds. And so the Argonauts reverse the bad field position, and now they'll turn the tables, and Montreal will start deep into their own zone. A 43-yard punt by Prefontaine and no return by Keith Stokes. Calvillo completing 66% of his passes in the first half for 106 yards and a touchdown. Jermaine Copeland has been his favorite target with 4 catches. Explosive offense led by this man, Jermaine Copeland.
You never know exactly where AC is going to throw it. You never know what we're going to do. We've got a whole lot of new stuff, and this offensive passing game is something that's really a sight to see, you know, once we're clicking. And I think that's the thing that keeps everybody on the toes, because you never know where we're going to come from.
And there's just one more weapon, Deontay Whitaker on the swing pass out of the backfield, and the yards after the catch spell first down Montreal.
Again, you see a good running back making that first tackler miss. That's Michael Fletcher. Make him miss, and then he picks up the yards for the first down.
Fletcher was late getting out into the flats, and it allowed Whitaker to get some steam. First down, Alouettes. Calvillo down the seam. Kwame Cavill has it for Montreal, and another big first down. Cavill shaken up in the first half. He's okay.
Yeah, you have to think Montreal went into halftime, made some adjustments like Greg was talking on the panel show at halftime. And now they're creating some seams. They know where they can beat the Argo defense. And there's a good play by Cavill right there.
There's Calvillo's pass distribution. Jim Popp, the GM of the Alouettes, telling me earlier this week that he has speed at the wideouts, the Canadians. He's got good minds in the middle. As Whitaker rumbles up the gut, breaks tackles, finally pulled down, but another first down. So much for no running game. Two big plays by Whitaker on this series. Two big first downs.
Yeah, we touched on it before the game. The reason a Whitaker can dress for this game is because they have those three outstanding Canadian receivers. So you dress a backup running back like Whitaker, and boom, he makes two big plays on this drive to take him down to the 43-yard line.
Alouettes marching. They've got momentum. Here comes the blitz. Calvillo steps up. It's complete again. Quaville with his second catch of the series. This place is electric.
Quaville's one-on-one with Antonius Bonner, who is a great cover guy. And he just beats him inside, and that's the easiest throw for the quarterback when the receiver's coming across the middle.
Yeah, Bonner had 2 picks last week in the semifinal. Calvillo calls his own number. Quarterback draw. Oh, and he's hit hard at the 30. Gain of maybe 1 on the play. The Alouettes here looking sharp to start the second half on offense.
I think everyone holds their breath a little bit when you see Anthony doing this, because you would hate to see him get banged up and not be able to play the rest of the football game.
Michael Fletcher was in there to polish him off. The Argos need a stand now as Montreal approaches the scoring zone. Calvillo back 10 yards, throwing incomplete. Looking for Copeland, and Kevin Ivan, step for step, the league's leading receiver. How about Ivan again?
It's amazing. He's the nickelback, so he comes in on only certain situations, yet he's matched up with the league's best receiver, and he covers him like a blanket. There's just nowhere to throw that football.
Linebacker on slot back, and the linebacker prevails. Ivan, the Canadian, who's having a hallmark year. This will be a 37-yard field goal attempt for Kellett. He's been good on 2 so far, 38 and 37 yards. Cahoon with the pin. Kellett hits it hard and good. So Matt Kellett 3 for 3 on the day, and Montreal cuts the Argo lead to a field goal. Still to come on the CFL on CBC. It's the West Final from Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. The Eskimos and the Rough Riders, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, right after the East Division Final here from the Big O in Montreal. The Argos hanging on to the lead by 3 midway through the third quarter, with a backup quarterback at the helm of the good ship Argonaut. Kellett's kick is high and deep to the 15. Bashar Livingston, dangerous on kick returns this season. As a whole, there's a flag on the play, and he's run out of railroad on the far sidelines. Looking for a wall up the far side, he didn't get it, and now there's some bad blood and some pushing and shoving as the Alouettes and Argos trade words. Cavill.
Well, Matthews had mentioned on Friday.
Toronto number 36.
How he thought a lot of his Livingston's returns that there was holding and clipping going on. Just planted that bug in the referee's ear, and maybe you see an example of that paying off for Don Matthews right here.
Yes, Don Matthews raising that to the awareness of the nation that this man who has 5 kick return touchdowns somewhat benefited from illegal clip blocks. And Mike Clements, the Argo coach, took exception to that, saying we don't teach cheating behavior, and there are as many calls or more that have gone against them this year. But that'll push Toronto back. 1st and 10 from their own 18, and a thunderous noise goes up in Montreal. Brady in trouble. He'll run himself. Gets outside and is hit hard. Kevin Johnson in on the tackle, and we'll check the backup's pass distribution.
10 for 11. There's nothing to argue with about that. I mean, he hasn't thrown any deep here, but he's done a great job of completing the football and keeping drives alive. Just consistent moving of the football, moving the chains.
And Brady seems to thrive as a backup. He plays much better than when he starts the game.
He's also fortunate enough to have guys like Miles and Jenkins who catch the ball and then run for a lot of yards after they catch it.
5 receiver set, 2nd and 5. The blitz. It's away. No, knocked down. Anwar Stewart breaks it up, and the Argos will punt.
Yeah, it's a total weak side rub play. Morelli trying to rub for Mitchell to get him open. It was actually covered fairly well. Maybe even fortunate that it was knocked down because Loftus was bearing down hard on Mitchell on that one. The Alouettes have adjusted a bit on defense and they're playing a lot better in the second half.
Prefontaine from the 15. It's a short punt. Bounce. Hits Stokes. He gets it on the first bounce. Has a seam up the near sideline. Breaks a tackle, still on his feet, still going. Stokes to the 20, finally hauled out of bounds. A huge return for Keith Stokes, and the Alouettes threaten. Keith Stokes with a 44-yard punt return of a 32-yard kick from Prefontaine, and it's first down Montreal at the 16.
Watch this block by Loftus on Sherpetsky right here. It's just a TKO right there, freeing up Stokes, which really allows him to go for that long punt return.
Loftus, the 6-year veteran out of Manitoba, and a big block. Stokes returned 1 punt this year for a touchdown. Don Matthews said his game tapered off in the late season because he was getting too fancy. He looked good there. Calvillo throwing to the end zone. Cavill! Touchdown, Montreal! Kwame Cavill on a 17-yard touchdown catch, and the Alouettes have turned the tables. Kellett with a point after. It's good. Montreal with the lead. 4:51 to go in the third quarter.
Boy, he gets a matchup on Clifford Ivory, 101. He actually splits the seam, and it's just a great throw. And it's a great football player, again, coming up with the big catch when his team needs it. That's a nice throw by Anthony Cavill.
What concentration with Bonner bearing down. And so the 2nd-year man out of Texas enjoys a little hip-hop in the end zone. He's got the lead touchdown in this football game.
That's not a bad dance routine they got going there, but no one touched him coming off the line of scrimmage down there. They were in a cover 3. It wasn't Clifford Ivory 101, so he had a free release right up the seam. You can't do that in the scoring zone.
Looks like he's already taken a shot on the chops. Remember, that's when he went out in the first half. There's the Warrior for you. Deafening roar here at the Big O as Kellett kicks it off. Livingston's been harnessed all afternoon. The league's leading kick returner up the near sideline, gets some blocks. Oh, pulled down from behind by Johnson. Flag on the play. 38-yard return on the kickoff. Bashar Livingston, who's brought 2 kicks back for touchdowns and 3 punts this year. And that was pretty exciting, but it's coming back.
Again, holding, saying they hold.
Toronto 99, first down.
And Weathers is nailed for that one, and it was a hold. I saw him hit him right to the back.
Fans love that. The call goes against the Argo special team, and once again, they're getting some penalties on the blocks that Don Matthews raised this week.
For the 2 points he raised, he's not going to kick away from them. They've contained them well, and they hold and they clip. And 2 calls have been made on it.
Can't hear a thing. Double tight. will go on the ground. Jenkins up the middle and into a swarm of defenders from Montreal. Here's the sidelines now. Brenda with GM Jim Pop of Montreal.
Well, Jim Pop, how does this team compare with the team that won the Grey Cup last year, the one you assembled?
Well, every team's different. This is a good football team, and we'll write our own destiny to see if it's as good as last year's, but it's a good football team.
Now you and Coach Don Matthews see eye to eye as far as building a team. How important is it to share that same vision?
You got to do that in this sport, to be on the same page. Everybody in the organization to have a chance to win, and we've had that.
What do you think about how your team's playing so far today?
Well, I tell you what, I think both teams are doing a great job. You got to give Coach Clemens and his staff and players a lot of credit, but we've given up big plays, and that's the difference in letting them in the game right now.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
And we should mention, Mark, that Jim Pop has been in the CFL 12 years now, never had a losing record. All of his teams have made it into the postseason.
That's why he got a new 5-year contract in Montreal. They love the architect of this Grey Cup championship team looking to defend and go back-to-back this year. And they force the Argos to punt deep in their own zone. Prefontaine hammering another low spiral, and Stokes has it at his own 45. Breaks the first tackle, shoestring, and then Crum finishes him off. A return of 7 for Keith Stokes. First down, Alouettes. Calvillo backstepping the rush, gets the screen away, and it's snuffed out. Eric Lapointe hit by big Mike O'Shea just as he crossed the line of scrimmage.
Nice play call. It looked like it had a potential for a big gain. Calvillo looks left, throws the screen to the right, but O'Shea chases it down. He gets a nice hit on the point. These guys know there's 2:40 left in the third quarter, and then they got 1 quarter of football to get to where they want to be, the Grey Cup in Regina. So they're going to lay it on the line.
Calvillo has caught fire. The Argos need help. Here's the blitz. Patiently, Calvillo is wrapped up. Bonner's got him for the sack. A pressure sack, a coverage sack there as the Argo defense comes up big to try to stop the momentum.
Well, there he is. A great job disguising it because he laid back about 5-7 yards and he came late. Then he pressured Anthony to step up, but he stayed after it and eventually got the sack.
Bonner with 2 interceptions and 5 tackles to lead the defense last week as Defensive Player of the Week in the CFL in that semifinal win over BC, 28-7. So now Kellett will punt from his 35. Rashard Livingston back to return. He's not been a factor today. End over end. High bounce. Livingston at his 19. Outside, nowhere to go. Stefan Fortin is there to make the tackle to limit the game to just 9 yards. Well, special teams swinging in favor of the Alouettes in this football game. The Argos have depended on it all season. A reminder that the brand new Sports Saturday comes out of the crate on November 29th at 2 Eastern. Scott Russell hosting. The Argos have had trouble on offense in the second half. Fans with their thundersticks. Play action. Brady sneaks outside for a short gain, about 3 or 4 yards on the play. He's come into this game in relief of this man, Damon Allen. You can see his right passing hand bandaged up with an ice pack. He injured the hand in the first quarter. Very similar injury to one he had early in the season that plagued him for a month. He was good on 50% of his passes for 78 yards before leaving the game. And Brady in the second half has had a hard time duplicating his heroic first half in relief. 2nd and 7. Brady with some time. He'll roll right, throwing across the middle. Nearly intercepted. Knocked down in coverage. Mike Morreale, the intended receiver. Kevin Johnson with a chance.
Brady's not getting a lot of pressure, but he's getting a little hesitant back there, and he's bailing out of the pocket. And he's seeing zone coverage or cover 3 from the Alouettes, pretty basic coverage. But if I'm Brady in the Argo offense, I'm going back to Tony Miles and Mookie Mitchell, because those are the guys that are making plays for me.
Fontaine angles another one out of bounds so that Stokes can't get his hands on it. It'll be first down Montreal at their 40. Fans don't like that. They want to see more flash and dash from Keith Stokes. The Argo offense in trouble here. Only one first down in the second half, and that one by penalty.
That's adjustments at halftime. The Alouettes were fairly simple and predictable in what they were doing defensively in the first half. Now the second half, they come with the blitz, and they backed off into a cover 3 zone, and they've been in man-to-man coverage. So they're really confusing Brady, and they're not moving the ball as well as they did in the first half.
Michael Clemens talking with his special teams wonder, Bashar Livingston, trying to get that part of their game on track. Back in offense, it's Deontay Whitaker outside, a big hole, across center field, a foot race now, oh, and he's clobbered. Otherwise, he was gone. Deep into the Argos secondary.
Yeah, they bring Antonius Bonner off the other end, and they run the ball away from him. And boy, has Whitaker looked good running the football today. Another one of those guys able to dress, because they dress those 3 Canadian receivers as starters.
On the ground, Whitaker this time, and that play was read by the Argo defense, stopped at the line of scrimmage. So the Alouettes, as the gun sounds to end the third quarter, have the lead. Welcome back to Montreal. It's not the blowout the Alouettes were predicting, but they have seized control, making some terrific halftime adjustments as we look at the 3-quarter numbers.
Yeah, you see it start to even out a little bit. The Argos were on a roll passing the football, but that really slowed down there in the third quarter.
And now the yards offensively have almost become even, with Calvillo catching fire here. Back to pass. Time in the pocket. It's knocked down. The ball's in the air, and the Argos have it. Eric England, it looked like the defensive lineman went up for it. It is Eric England with the football for Toronto. What a huge turnover. Just when momentum was all Montreal, this man, the first-year Argo, has a big knockdown interception.
Yeah, when this happens, they get their hands up, the ball's up in the air, and now it becomes a rebound like you're a basketball player, and Eric may have played basketball at one point because he goes up and gets it. And this is what the Argos wanted to do. Keep it close going into the fourth quarter, and then make a big play or two and try to win the football game.
Eric England, the man who does impressions to try to keep his team loose in the locker room, with a big play there. Shotgun formation, Brady throwing. It's complete to Daryl Mitchell, and then he's knocked back after making the catch at the 50-yard line. And they'll get the spot 2 yards back of where he made the catch.
Again, I think that's a bad spot because he's hit 2 yards forward and then bounces back, so they should give him the initial spot. But this play has been very effective and opened the whole game out of a too tight set. Mitchell just sitting in that hole.
2nd and 4 after the bad spot to Mitchell. Brady close in the shotgun. No drop. Rolling now. Throwing to the wide side. Wide open. Alfred Jackson scooting down the near sideline for a Toronto first down. Jackson was sitting there on an island and nobody covered him.
Well, you know, Mark, it's the same play they ran to the left side, but they run it to the right and just make adjustments off of it because it's the zone coverage. This time Mitchell goes up the seam, corner has to respect it, so Jackson's left alone on the sideline. They should keep running this play until the Alouettes defense finds an answer to it.
Argos now inside Montreal territory with a first down at the 49. Brady, play action, rolling right, caught from behind with a shoestring tackle. It's Big Ed Villion. Just got a piece with his meat hook on Brady to knock him off balance. The old Walby Warrior from 1 year ago.
Well, now they're put in a tough situation. They're second and more than 10 yards. It's a tough one to get a first down against, but they're going to spread them out with the 4 receivers.
Second and 12 after the loss of 2. Brady backpedaling, lots of time, throwing with authority. It's complete to Mike Morreale, and a Toronto first down.
You have to give Mike Morreale a lot of credit. That's his first catch of the football game, so it hasn't given him a chance to get into the football game and get hit. It's a crucial situation with 12 and a half minutes left in the fourth quarter, and he makes the play. Hey, great throw by Brady, looking left, going back, hitting Mike right, but it's tough to make that play when you haven't been involved in the game yet.
Yeah, you're right. You're cold, and you're counted on to make a big clutch first down catch. And now this Montreal defense is on its heels. Adriana Belli, who missed most of the season with concussion symptoms. England cheering from the sidelines. First down Argos, double tight formation. Brady throwing far side. Oh, it's incomplete. Alfred Jackson, but nearly picked off.
That's a great job by Alfred Jackson because it was all the way across the field. Brady had to throw that, and Durden was closing down to pick that off, and Jackson came back to the football just to break it up. You see how long this takes. He sets up, reading his coverage. That's a long throw. Also gets dumped on the ground, but Jackson makes the effort to come back, steps in front of Durden, and really becomes the defensive back in that situation.
Heads up play by the veteran Alfred Jackson indeed. Argos using the hand touch situation now in their silent count. They'll go when the guards lift their hands. Brady back, throwing deep to the end zone. Tony Miles, touchdown Argonauts! Tony Miles with his second long bomb touchdown of this final.
How good is this kid? He is in his second year of the CFL, first 1,000-yard receiving year. But listen, you get man-to-man coverage, and you got Tony Miles. Buy yourself some time and just throw it up.
32 yards, the touchdown pass over Omar Evans. 2 touchdown catches and 99 yards total for Tony Miles, your Snoop Dogg favorite.
Snoop Dogg is coming up big.
The point after from Toronto is good, and the Argonauts retake the lead. They're up by a field goal in the fourth quarter. Air Miles, 2 touchdowns today. Argos in front.
Tony's down below, he's 1-on-1, and watch how patient he is with his release move. Boom, 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 boom. The key is to just win on the release. It's a great job of getting off the press coverage and being patient at the line of scrimmage.
Darren, he really had to turn on his 4.3 speed to get to that ball. Beautiful catch. Argos in front now. Lots of time left. Whitaker goes in front of Keith Stokes for the return. Full speed ahead, and the punter, Prefontaine, the kicker, making the tackle for Toronto. There's one kicker who likes to get his nose dirty in this league. An 18-yard return. The anatomy of the drive. First, the knockdown. The second of the game by Cantor. The interception by England. The defense rising up. Then, the sophomore goes to the veteran, AJ. Back to another veteran, Morreale. Then with lots of time, he throws the home run to Tony Miles in the end zone. The second time he's gone to Miles for touchdowns in this game. And Brady, who was cold to start the second half, is on fire again. Now Anthony Calvillo at the controls out of the backfield. Mike O'Shea reading that one on Eric Lapointe. And the big Toronto middle linebacker makes a tackle for a loss of 2 on the play.
You know, Mike wasn't always known as one that can make that open field tackle, but he's worked hard on his lateral movement. That's a great tackle in open space.
Yeah, he's been the leader on this team through a trying season, orphaned at midseason by their owner, Sherwood Schwartz. A lot of guys lost some money this year, but they've dug down and he's helped lead them to this playoff game. Calvillo, 2nd and 12, some pressure now. He's going to flee the pocket, running this time. He won't get away. Fletcher meets him at the line of scrimmage. And so the Argo defense back-to-back stands to force a frustrated Calvillo and the Alouettes to punt.
Originally, Anthony had time to throw the football, but no one was open. The secondary is doing a good job of keeping everything in front of them. They force him to try to step up, and that's where the pressure is going to come from, those defensive linemen up front as Anthony tries to step up and make a play.
Matt Kellett surveys the Argo return team. One man back, the electrifying Bashar Livingston, who's been unplugged today, and Don Matthews has dared to kick to him all afternoon, and they've covered him all. They have shut down the Argo special teams. There's an end-over-end punt, far side. Livingston on the run at the 38, straight up the sidelines. Botterill stops him momentarily until help arrives at midfield. So the Argos with perhaps their best field position in the second half, and they're all amped up here in Montreal. Welcome back to Olympic Stadium in Montreal. The underdog Argos with a 26-23 lead. 9:51 to go in the football game. Out west, coming right up, it's the West Final from Commonwealth Stadium. Ricky Ray and Nealon Green warming up as we speak. What will Brady do for an encore after that last touchdown drive? In the pocket, pressure, gets it away to Tony Miles. Miles drops to his knees to make the catch, and a short gain of about 4 yards on the play.
It's a short game, but they're in that 2 tight end set. They got 3 receivers to that side, and they're getting zone coverage. Tony Miles is wide open. If Marcus doesn't pump that ball and throws it right away, Tony's going to have time to pick up the extra 3-4 yards to make it 2nd and short, as opposed to 2nd and 6.
Miles already over the century mark on 5 catches, 99 yards on 2 touchdown catches. Now the young quarterback up behind his center. Here's the blitz. Throws the ball away. It was Butler off the edge. Incomplete. Brady took a shot from the former Tiger Cat, and Toronto will punt. There's the hand touch again as the Argos on the offensive line go with the silent count. They can't hear a thing in this stadium. Yeah. The guards watching the ball, when they release the hand-held position, the tackles know the ball's away.
Yeah, and then we haven't seen one mistake. I hate to jinx them, but we haven't seen a mistake with that silent count yet today.
Prefontaine shanks a line drive. Good bounce, though, towards the end zone. Stokes has it on the goal line. Gets away. There's a flag on the play. And the returner is knocked down by Chuck Winters at the 15. A 14-yard return, and it looks like the Argos will be called for no yards.
Yeah, because if it's a clipping or holding penalty, that called on the 1 or 2, it goes half the distance to the goal line.
Wait a minute, they're talking to the defensive captain here.
No yards. Toronto number 83. Penalties decline. First down.
Take the yards on the return, makes sense.
Lau Knight called for no yards.
Good eyes, Mark. You got that one. You nailed it. It's 3-1.
For you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's still 8:47 to go.
See what you got.
3-1. Flutie over Lee in the penalty predictions. And now tough field position for Montreal, starting at their own 15. Calvillo, quick hitch pass to Cahoon. He's got it. And they nail him at the 20. Small receiver who has taken a beating this year and just keeps on going.
Yeah, when you catch him in this match coverage, there's a hole to the right side because the linebacker's in tight, Fletcher, and the halfback drops deep. But they're reacting so quickly to the football that you're not getting the yards that you usually would against this type of defense.
2nd and 6. Calvillo trying to stay out of 2nd and long. He's the best in those situations. Back to pass. Lots of time. Throwing to a wide open Jermaine Copeland at the 30. Copeland with more as he's finally forced out of bounds. Adrian Smith takes the tackle, and it looks like he's playing with a cast on his hand.
Copeland and Gerard do a nice job of just crossing their routes. Gerard comes on the in, Copeland goes on the out. There's some confusion with the defensive back, and Anthony finds Copeland on the sideline.
There's Adrian Smith, the leader in interceptions this year with 8, but he's got a cast on his right thumb for this football game. The blitz. Flat pass again to Ben Cahoon. Breaks the tackle from Steinauer, and it takes big Mike O'Shea to finally finish off the slot back. Argo showed blitz, then dropped off the edge.
Well, actually, Bonner did eventually come off the right edge, offensive right edge, but we thought one of the ways to beat that is with the quick pass, and he got rid of the ball so quickly, Bonner stopped and actually tried to go back and make the tackle. You see Anthony come, and then he has to turn around and go back out. That's the way you beat these nickel blitzes. And of course, it doesn't hurt when Ben tries to fight for 3-4 extra yards.
2nd and 2 for Montreal. Calvillo, quick release across the middle. Copeland's got it. He's got a Montreal first down. There he is. The Owls' favorite fan and his balancing act at center field.
Yeah, you see Copeland one-on-one with Clifford Ivory. That's a matchup that the Alouettes think is in their favor. So if you see that again, you expect him to go back to Copeland.
Copeland has owned Ivory this afternoon. Grady still in front of Calvillo in passing yards. Montreal across midfield. A handoff to Whitaker. Oh, he avoids 4 or 5 tackles for a first down. Slicing his way right through the gut of the Argos.
Whitaker has become that X factor that you didn't really predict going into the football game, but he's really run the ball well, and he's come up with about 3 or 4 big plays to keep drives alive for the Alouettes.
Pinball Clemens looking at another running back who plays like he did. Another handoff to Whitaker again. He gets through the defensive line and is finally nailed as he hits the 35. The gain is 4. It's 5 carries for 60 yards so far for Deontay Whitaker.
Plus he's made a couple nice catches out of the backfield where he's made people miss and picked up the extra yardage.
Clifford Ivory, who has been victimized by Copeland. This Argo defense being pushed back into its own zone now. Michael O'Shea trying to steady the Argos. But Montreal is very efficient on offense now. Calvillo wanted to go to the flats, calls his own number, up the gut, breaking tackles, the QB heads to the end zone, touchdown, Montreal!
I don't know if anyone can hear me because it's so loud in here, but what a great play call by the Alouettes. And I don't know if Anthony calls it, but what an individual effort on his part to get up that seam and go the distance for the go-ahead touchdown.
Calvillo, the quarterback draw, 35 yards up the middle, untouched for a touchdown. Matt Kellett, the point after. It's good. And the field general has re-established an Alouette lead with 4.5 minutes to play. Anthony Calvillo with a great play fake on the pass, and then up the middle to cap a 7-play drive with a 35-yard rush. And Montreal has retaken the lead. 30-26.
Well, you see Anthony put it into another gear there. I didn't know he could run that fast.
Deep kickoff to his own 8. Bashar Livingston turns now, cuts through the middle. Some daylight for Livingston. Breaks one tackle, but the Alouettes regroup and force him out of bounds at center field. Livingston, a 47-yard kick return.
Here's what makes that last play work. Watch the reaction of O'Shea and Fletcher on the fake swing pass to the running back by Calvillo. Boom, they're flying out there to cover the swing pass. It opens up the middle. Then they get a nice block, and he does the rest on his own.
But was he stripped before he crossed the goal line? That's the question. Here's a look from the low angle. Ivory hits the ball out. That ball's loose as he crosses the goal line.
I disagree. I think it's very, very close, but I think it's a touchdown.
Argos on offense. Brady the blitz, nearly intercepted, thrown behind. Let's look at that touchdown run again by Calvillo from another angle. The ball is loose before it breaks the plane.
It's 3-2, Mark. You're catching up. You're right. It's great individual effort by Cliff Ivory to hustle down and knock that ball out of his hand.
Another look again from the near camera. Ivory stripping the ball. The ball is out of control. 2nd and 10, Argos. 3:43 to go and counting the blitz. The ball's away down the middle to Mitchell. He can't make the catch. Incomplete. In a diving effort.
Got Loftus coming on that free safety blitz, not giving him any time to sit in there and make a decision, so he just hucks it up towards Mitchell. Watch Loftus come. Get his hands up, force the quick pass. Mitchell has a chance to make that play. Where we've seen so many receivers step up and make the big play. I think that's one Darryl wishes he had over.
Prefontaine will punt. Low snap. No. The Argos will fake. Prefontaine throwing. Miles diving. No good. Tony Miles went to the air. Couldn't bring it in on a 3rd down gamble.
That initially looked like a great catch, and it's actually a really well-thrown ball by Prefontaine. He's past the sticks, would have the 1st down. Does he catch it? Ah!
Oh!
What an effort.
Prefontaine had some time. Look at the diving effort as the ball hits the turf underneath Tony Miles. And the pinball calling a trick play.
Very risky call with 3:20 left.
But the ball's at midfield. Alouettes with a chance to seal this one now. Calvillo throws the screen pass to Whitaker, and the Argos cover that one quickly.
Yeah, the defensive speed has tracked down these blitzes and these swing passes, and Fletcher is really the main guy tracking them down and making the tackles on these plays.
Clifford Ivory, who thought he may have stripped the ball on Calvillo. Montreal by 4 at the 3-minute warning. Eric England in his 37th game of pro football this year. The Argo defense needs to come up big here. Antonius Bonner, the veteran, flanked in the middle by Michael Shea. It is 2nd and 12, Montreal at the Alouette 48. 2:54 and counting. Movement along the line of scrimmage and a flag on the play. Calvillo heaving deep down the far sideline. Incomplete. Raphael Ball, step for step with Pat Woodcock. But a penalty on the play. Movement at the line.
Yeah, there's a smart quarterback, Calvillo, knowing that the Argos were offside, just taking a chance on a deep
offside.
route.
Toronto number 98. Second down repeat.
Marvin Thomas And Calvillo trying to flame the fans here. Fan the flames, perhaps.
Whichever way you want to say it.
The pinball looking tense. Calvillo now asking for quiet.
And he gets it. What an advantage for your offense to be quiet while you're calling out the signals.
Argo offense wants to get back on the field. Calvillo now throwing. Copeland diving near the first down marker. It's incomplete. Adrian Smith having words with the affable receiver.
Again, they're going back to that little rub route, but instead of doing it to the boundary, which most teams do, they do it to the field, and it's a longer throw, so it's tougher to complete.
And it's third down. 7. Pinball now, excited, trying to organize the return. They need a big special teams play here. He's out on the field.
It's confusion.
3rd and 7. 2:38 to play in the fourth quarter. Montreal leads by 4. Kellett, low snap, picks it up, kicks it to the far sideline. On the bounce, Livingston drops it out of bounds. Argos will have to dig themselves out to have a chance. As we check your Canadian Tire game notes.
And it has been the brawl in Montreal. Offensively, jab with Jenkins, 29 rush yards, 40 receiving yards, been fairly effective. Defensively, rope-a-dope. Longest Montreal completion, 24 yards. A good job of keeping them in front of you. Alouettes offense, throw the haymaker. Throw it deep. Calvillo, 230-yard pass yards, 2 touchdowns, and he rushed for 1. Defensively, TKO, they created 1 turnover on downs, so they got 1 sack.
Calvillo with the uppercut on the rope-a-dope for a touchdown, 35 yards on the ground. And now this crowd with a deafening clatter. 2:29 to play. Argos at their own 5. Oh, bad snap. Trouble for Brady. Reversing his field. Now he'll throw. It's complete to Tony Miles and a first down. Talk about poise.
Nice job by Brady, tracking the ball down first of all and then staying calm. But Tony Miles is so good when he sees his quarterback in trouble of coming back to the quarterback. Watch him come back. That's what you have to do. You got to create separation and come back to the quarterback.
Miles beating Omar Evans again. Lampert trying to get this crowd for some help. The 13th man, they're standing and clapping, and you can't hear yourself think. First down. Brady dumps it out to Jenkins. Strickland in on the tackle with Johnson. And the gain is 7. 2:12 to go.
Well, with over 2 minutes left, that's plenty of time to go on this drive. But if they do happen to get into that no huddle, it's going to be tough to communicate to your wide receivers. We mentioned that earlier. It's tough getting the play call out to your wide guys.
Ryan Chu and the fans into it as well. Double tight formation. 2nd and 3. Argos. Brady will throw. It's complete to Mitchell, but he might be shy of the first down. Very close at the 25. There'll be a measurement here, Darren, as it's right at the first down marker.
Yeah, it looks like he's a touch short, but you're definitely going to go for it on 3rd and inches. And that little route, that little 4-5 route has been there all day, 4 or 5 yard route.
It is 3rd down, 6 inches to go. Pinball pacing. Brady, the backup. Can he lead this team to a comeback?
Well, I want to know if he's veteran enough where maybe he's calling 2 plays in the huddle so you don't have to get your first down and then start screaming out your plays to your receivers who may not be able to hear you. We'll see after this play.
3rd down, Gamble. Argos need 6 inches. Brady, the sneak, flags fly. He'll have the yardage.
Perfect thing for the Argos. Stops the clock. All sides for the Alouettes. You get your 5 yards. In no time runs off the clock.
This underdog Argo team.
Offside. Montreal number 96. First down.
Tito Simpson offside. But pinball has kept the composure of this team all year, and now they need it most. Trailing by 4 points, 1:47 to go in regulation time, and they're at their own 30-yard line. Trying to fight one of the toughest pass defenses, the best pass defense in the league, and 60,000 fans. 1st and 10. Brady running. He won't go anywhere. There are flags down.
Well, initially it looks like offsides again on the Alouettes. And you think Brady might have thrown one up again because he had the offsides.
Offside. Montreal, number 96.
You know, why not take a chance and just throw it up for your receiver?
Tito Simpson again on the offside.
Unless he doesn't realize that the offsides flag has been thrown.
So that'll help the Argos. And Brady took a wallop on that play. 1st and 5, Toronto. 1:42 to play. A backup at the controls. Brady, quick drop, across the middle, incomplete, intended for Michael Jenkins. 1:38 to go. 2nd down faces Toronto when we come back.
Closed captioning has been brought to you by the new 2004 GMC Canyon. Coming soon to a GMC dealer near you.
Marcus Brady, 2nd and 5, Argos. At their own 35. Shotgun, here comes the blitz. Brady looking, throws, it's complete for a 1st down. Daryl Mitchell has it for Toronto. Pinball Clemens, anxiety on the Argo bench. There is tension everywhere, even on the Alouette bench. They didn't think they'd be in a battle in the final minutes here against this underdog Argo team. Remember, they were talking blowout in Montreal. The Argos have given them a game. 1st down. Quick drop. Brady again across the middle. Nearly intercepted. Deflected, and Omar Evans had it in his hands and dropped it. A reprieve for the Argos.
Well, Marcus is reading the blitz. Butler's coming off the edge. He has Morelli on a slant, but he also has Miles on the outside on a slant. Why not let your first slant go and then hit Tony Miles on the outside slant?
Oh, a close call there as the pinball winces. 2nd and 10. 1:13 to play. So loud. In the shotgun, here comes the blitz. Brady gets it away. No good. There's a flag, and there may be a late hit on the quarterback. Fate smiles again on the Argos.
Major foul. Roughing the passer. Montreal 25. 1st down.
It's Dwayne Butler. That's devastating for this Montreal defense. He's been coming off the blitz, off the edge for this whole series, and you know he wants to get a hit, and he goes to the head with his arm, and that's a penalty.
It's a new penalty this year. The head shot on a quarterback, and that'll move the ball all the way to the 45-yard line of Montreal. 1st down, Argos. 1:08 to play in regulation. Crowd doing its best to be deafening. Incomplete. Too high for Tony Miles.
I think the Argos almost need a timeout because they don't have an answer for this blitz coming off the edge.
They have 1 timeout remaining. But Brady has been cool and poised since replacing the injured Damon Allen.
Oh, he's done a great job, but they can't answer this blitz with Butler coming off the edge and Strickland coming, and they're just going to do it again.
2nd and 10. Brady, here comes the blitz again. He's got time, throws it too high. Incomplete. What pressure!
10, I would look for the coach to call a timeout and try to get an answer to this blitz package. Because if you send in one of your regular plays, you're just hoping. You're hoping for the best.
Desperation time now. 3rd and 10. This is the game. Argos have to go for it. Matthews with his hands on his knees. Brady, he'll drop off in coverage, giving him time. Looking. They'll get him. Sacked. And that'll do it. Second sack of the game. And the Montreal defense stops the Cinderella story tonight.
Well, the whole series, they're bringing the kitchen sink. They're blitzing everyone. And now it's 3rd and 10, and the game's on the line. And they rush 3 people, drop everyone else in coverage. And Brady has nowhere to throw the football, and they get the sack.
And there's an injured Alouette. You're right, he had all kinds of time. I thought Palmer opened across the middle momentarily, but then the pressure came. Don Matthews, who has exuded confidence this week, needed that one, and he got it from his big defense. The top sacking defense in the CFL comes through in the final minute.
But it's a gutsy move to go against what was working that whole series, that blitzing defense, and then drop back in that zone.
Pinball Clemens having words with Rich Stubler, his defensive coordinator. Can they get the ball back with 50 seconds?
Well, they got 50 seconds, they got 1 timeout, and you got a 20-second clock. Theoretically, you can get the ball back. As long as they don't waste a lot of time with the plays.
Disconsolate Argo bench.
Let's say this, that the Alouettes can't just kneel on the ball. That won't get it done. They have to run plays.
Fans standing here in anticipation with 50 seconds to play in the East Division Final. Calvillo handing off. And there's no gain on the play for Eric Lapointe. 46 seconds to go in Montreal.
Timeout, Toronto.
2nd and 9. Alouettes, 46 seconds to go. The Argos stopping the clock with a timeout. They've used theirs up. Calvillo on the ground again. Lapointe up the gut. And he won't have enough. He'll be about 3 or 4 yards shy of the first down with 41 seconds left to go. Marcus Brady, heroic in relief today with 3 touchdown passes after Damon Allen injured his passing hand. But they swarmed him on the last drive and fooled him when they dropped off on 3rd down.
The whole story right now is the clock. 41 seconds. They should start the clock. They should take off about 19 seconds, get it down to about 22, 23, and then punt it away.
Kellett will let the clock drain here at the Big O.
That's going to leave the Argos with 20 seconds or less to do whatever they can. Maybe get a return.
Well, Darren, they've been saved by the special teams all year. This is where they need a big one now from Livingston. Livingston at his own 15, heading to the near sidelines, breaks the block, stays in bounds, finally pushed out at the 37. 10 seconds on the clock and tempers flare. 22-yard return for number 23, but only 10 seconds left in the game, and Toronto needs a touchdown.
Well, never give up. You got 10 seconds left in the game. You got time for 2 football plays. Your first pass has to get to the midfield, or at least into a position where your quarterback's arm can throw the next ball into the end zone for a chance for a touchdown. And he also has to get out of bounds because you don't have any timeouts. I wouldn't celebrate yet. It's got to be a 5, 10, about a 20-yard pass near the sideline so someone can get out of bounds.
The Alouettes have dropped 25, 30 yards deep in a prevent defense. Brady, straight back, waiting. Now he throws it, incomplete. Butler stripping Miles. 5 seconds to go. And Jermaine Copeland starts the celebration.
Well, barring the Stanford band coming onto the field, I think that pretty much ends the game. They're going to have to go to a completion and start pitching it. and hope for the best.
Michael Bishop is coming into the game for the Argos for one last play. He's got one of the strongest arms in the CFL. They say he can throw the ball 90 yards. That's what they need now.
Yeah, but he has to buy himself enough time so his receivers can run 80 yards to get into the end zone.
Here comes the Hail Mary. Bishop winds up and chucks this one way downfield. Tipped, incomplete. The game is over. Don Matthews and the Montreal Alouettes are going back to the Grey Cup for the second year in a row.
Well, I'll tell you what, he threw it far enough, but give credit to Montreal, they hung in. This was a great football game today. Played well on both sides of the football.
They're standing in Montreal. The Alouettes prevail after a scare with Toronto.
Play of the game, brought to you by Subway.
Here's the play of the game, the 35-yard touchdown run by Anthony Calvillo. We'll show it to you again in slow motion. Did he fumble before he crossed the goal line? Sean Millington says no. Greg Frere says no. Danny McManus says yes. I'm inclined to agree with Danny McManus. There's the play of the game, brought to you by Subway. We'll talk with Don Matthews live at halftime. Right now, we take you to Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton, the Western Final. And here's Chris Cuthbert. Chris?
And good evening from Commonwealth Stadium. So, the Alouettes